Aggies.
And a good morning to everybody here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. David Nuño, Olin Buchanan, our Heisman Trophy voter, and my big-time party friend. OB, some injuries on the Florida side that caught our attention yesterday. I actually recorded something before that came out where it kind of talked about potentially Ace Turner being out and some other, I think their list was quite significant.
Yeah, it was. And the biggest thing was, looks like Eugene Wilson, their best receiver, one of the better receivers.
Is it questionable is what
they're calling questionable, but I got a text message from a media friend of mine in Florida who said he's out, that he sprained his ankle in practice. We'll see how accurate that his information is. But if he's slowed down, that makes a difference. But if he's out, that's taking the best, maybe the second best big play threat out of their offense. Or definitely, if you want to say no, Lagway and Montrell Johnson, then okay, they're number 3 receiver.
Right.
It'd be like taking Anaya Smith out of the A&M lineup 2 years ago.
Well, and a couple others. They potentially could have 3 members of their starting secondary out in this game.
Yeah, and their secondary is not very good anyway.
But they had big dreams for Asa Turner, who came from Washington, right? Although he got embarrassed in the Miami game, there's a couple plays I saw that he just looked frozen in concrete. And he could potentially be out. Moore could be out, and Moore's one of their big-time players from last year, only played in 6 games. So they have a couple of players and 3, and Jakeem Jackson, another guy who's potentially out in the game. 3 in their secondary. But this is what I'm going to say, OB. I don't care. Whatever's going to make A&M's path to get there easier, but sometimes it doesn't matter because you can have a very young offensive line that somehow does the job against A&M on the day that Notre Dame comes to college.
Well, that's right. Here's the situation. I've never seen a team, and I'm talking about over the last 10 years of covering them, so maybe it'll be different under Mike Elko, but I've never seen a team that consistently has failed to exploit their opponent's problems than A&M. And you just said the Notre Dame problems with their offensive line is a perfect example. I can remember going up to Columbia, South Carolina, and South Carolina was ranked 110th or something like that in run defense, and A&M struggled to run against them. So A&M tends to play to the level of their opponent. Need a game where you go out and just play your game and dominate. I don't know if they can, but look, Florida's a team with that's having some trouble, and when you start taking significant players out of that, A&M's got to take advantage. There's no excuse.
They have to take advantage of the situation. DJ Lagway can't have the game of his life. Graham Mertz can't have the game of his life. A&M has to go in there, and I don't think they have to play the game of their lives either, right? They just need to play solid football, no mistakes, wide receivers, get some separation, get to the quarterback. The recipe that I thought we'd see this year.
Yeah, despite, and I hate moral victories. I think A&M leads the NCAA on moral victories over the last several years. I hate them. And yet, despite Notre Dame's loss to Northern Illinois, I still think Notre Dame's going to be is a really good football team that just wasn't ready to play after putting it all in to play A&M. So I just think that loss to Notre Dame isn't an indictment on what on A&M and ensures that this is going to be a disappointing season. I think the possibility is still out there to have not just a good season, but an excellent season for the Aggies. But you got to win the games you're supposed to win. And this one, even on the road, is a game the Aggies should win.
Hey, we have Jim Turner coming into studio to break down some plays of both Florida, the former offensive line coach at A&M, 2 different stints, by the way. He's going to break down some Florida plays against Miami. He's going to break down some A&M plays against McNeese, so we're looking forward to doing that. So this will be a condensed segment, so we're going to have more time with Jim Turner on the other side. We do want to do our Heisman Watch, brought to you by Shirtlift Law Firm. Hunter's a friend of our company, TexAgs, obviously, and we trust him with our legal needs. Call Shirtlift Law today when you need a lawyer for your business or personal issues. It is Shirtlift Law Firm. Let's go through the 5 candidates, and I know that when we get to number 1, people are like, "Oh no!" But let's start off with number 5.
Okay, I'm going to start with number 5. I put. Let me just say this: I still think if I was projecting who I think is going to win at the end of the season, I'm still going with Jackson Dart.
Okay.
But based on what I've seen after 2 games, if my ballot was due now, number 5 on my list would be Dylan Gabriel. Oregon, after 2 games, has completed 84.3% of his passes, 623 yards and 4 touchdowns. Was 18 of 21 last week, 243 yards in a 37-34 victory over Boise State. He had touchdown passes of 34 and 59 yards.
Yeah, he had he connected with Evan Stewart finally this past week.
Yeah, and Evan also dropped one that would have been a long touchdown pass.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Number 4 on my list, Carson Beck, the Georgia quarterback, 242 yards and 5 touchdowns last week. Count them 5, but of course it was against Tennessee Tech. So you got to take that into consideration. He did that after a season opener win over Clemson when he threw for 278 yards. So he's completing 70.7% of his passes, 520 yards, and 7 touchdowns so far.
This number 3, I like it. I didn't expect it. I like it.
I stayed up and watched the Boise State-Oregon game. Ashton Jeanty, the Boise State running back, leading the nation. Get this. He's averaging 10.2 yards per carry.
Is that good?
10.2 yards a carry. 5 yards a carry.
He's averaging a first down per carry.
A carry. 5 yards is excellent, and he's doubled that. He's gained 459 yards and scored 9 touchdowns in 2 games. 3 of his touchdowns have come on runs of 77, 75, and I think it's 70 yards. And that's against Oregon and Georgia Southern last week. Against Oregon, 192 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns.
This next one is my Hendon Hooker.
Okay, yeah.
My Hendon Hooker.
Cam Ward, Miami quarterback, West Columbia, Texas, apparently wasn't recruited by Texas A&M. He's 5th in the nation in passing, completed 75.4% of his passes for 689 yards and 6 touchdowns. He followed up a strong performance against Florida with 304 yards and 3 touchdowns versus Florida A&M.
And then number 1, and right now he's in that position.
You know what? You got to give credit where credit is due. And I've always said I will take all personal allegiances out when I'm discussing the Heisman Trophy.
Which is possible, by the way.
Number 1 for me is Quinn Ewers. After he was excellent, leading Texas to a 31-12 victory over Michigan last week. 24 of 36, 246 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Again, that's against the defending national champion. Now, they may not be very good.
The defense is supposed to be good, though.
But the defense is supposed to be good. Overall, 69.8% of his attempts he's completed for 506 yards and 6 touchdowns.
One thing I'll say about that, a defense is only as good as their offense sometimes. Because if your offense is dreadful.
They're always out there.
The Notre Dame game, the defense played pretty well, and it's not like Notre Dame was able to rack up these monster numbers, but eventually the dam breaks.
But 246 yards and 3 touchdowns against Michigan means more to me than, 300 yards against Tennessee and 5 touchdowns against Tennessee Tech.
All right, let's go around the room and say hi to the people. This is Coffee Talk presented by TexAgs Coffee. Beat the hell out of the mornings by going to texags.com/coffee at an Aggie farm, by the way. Let's say hi to Nick Savage quickly. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up?
Oh, nothing. I'm excited to break down a little film with, Coach Jim Turner. I love that we're doing that, so it should be a lot of fun.
By the way, have you spoken to him yet?
Matthew has.
Okay. He's intense. He's awesome. He's a coach. You can tell he's a coach.
Yeah, Matthew's loving that then.
Yeah, Matthew's all up in that. Appreciate that. Thank you very much, Nick. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Aggies gather at the Angry Elephant. Juan Marcos Palomo. Good morning, buddy.
How are you guys? Doing good.
I like that top.
Hey, thank you, CC Creations.
There you go. You've learned, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Good job.
Well, let's see. Volleyball has a long weekend ahead of them with a trio of home games against Temple on Friday, UNH on Saturday, and then Louisiana on Sunday. They will look to go 8-0 on the season.
Great
and then soccer will be playing in New England for the first time since 2000. Soccer will be playing against Central Connecticut State University
and
UConn on Sunday.
UConn. Okay. Good stuff. Appreciate you, Juan. All right, we're going to hit a break. When we come back, OB, this is the cool zone, by the way. You know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that's what we're calling it, the cool zone.
Cool zone, okay.
It's cool. It's cool.
Hey,
we're going to have Jim Turner in the cool zone. We'll be at the desk. He's going to break down film right behind us right here. But right now, let's talk a little Prize Picks. So later on in the show, Matthew Dawson is going to join us on the fan show that's brought to you by Prize Picks. And he's going to give us I don't know if he's going to give us advice, but he's going to help tailor our thoughts. He's going to ask us some questions, but if you want to make some money right now doing daily fantasy sports, you need to check out prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Sign up today. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive those $50 bonus. It is guaranteed when you sign up. TexAgs.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to receive those $50. It is awesome. Daily fantasy sports are the easiest, most exciting way to play DFS. It's you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than the stat projections and watch the winnings roll. So I haven't looked at what Conner is, but I'm going to look at it. I'm saying more than. And if you want to win guarantee, Caleb Williams, in September, every time he passes for over a yard, which he will, you'll get yourself a free win. So that could be 4 straight wins in September. PrizePicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to receive that $50 once you play $5 in lineups. It's PrizePicks. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Olin Buchanan, David Nuño. OB, I was telling you, at the gym a couple weeks back, I was in the middle of, I think, you remember, Coach, what I was doing?
You were in a superset.
I was in some kind of superset.
Yeah.
And Coach Turner walks by, and I've always wanted to meet him, but I hadn't met him yet. And we start chatting, and he starts talking to me about football. And I realize he knows a lot, and I know very little. So we kind of well, as he should, right?
I was coaching the NFL and the college forever.
Yeah, and the UFL. So obviously, I want our audience to feel like they're in the know.
Yeah, this is going to be a treat.
So Jim Turner is here. Coach Turner, thanks for coming in. I
appreciate you guys having me. When I saw you standing there, I listen to you every morning, so all of a sudden I see you over there lifting, because you're always showing off the pipes, so I noticed the pipes, right, as I was walking through Gold's Gym, which I don't do very often, but I noticed it was you, so I just showed you one of those clips. And there's a lot that goes into what happens in a football game, and I just love, like I do that. I put my clips out on Twitter now. I just love explaining things because it's not as simple as people make it out to be sometimes. It's just not like, I'm going to kick the crap out of this guy and all that stuff. No, you got to do your job, and I love explaining that.
Well, let's get into your first play because it's from the McNeese game, and I think it was the very first offensive play, a run pin pull.
Yeah, so this is a pin pull. So one of the things, like the Aggies do a great job on offense. They do a great job with running a pin pull scheme. So there's three schemes, right? You got your zone scheme, you got your gap scheme, you got your man scheme, okay? And in your zone, everybody's blocking your play side gap. Very simple for the offensive line. If the ball's going to the right, I'm going to zone block to my right, from my nose to the man next to me's nose. If there's a player in that area, I'm blocking that area. Then you have your gap schemes, right, which is your power plays and your counters, right? On a gap play, I'm blocking my inside gap. So if the ball's going to the right, from my nose to the man inside me, technically I'm just going down on that gap. You're building a wall down inside, and you're trying to punch out the edges with power. Okay, that's your gap blocking scheme. And then this first play you're going to see is a man fold. Okay, and so what we do on a man fold play is, okay, it's basically like playing football in 1920, right? I have that guy, you have that guy, you have that guy. And so you're going to see a lot of people blocking down. You're going to see a lot of centers and guards pulling on your man fold plays. And here it is. All right, so let's take a look at it, right? So this is something that I think, okay, the matchup with the Aggies against the Gators, right? So the Gators are stout in the middle. So you're going to see 330, 330, 360. You're going to see 420-pounder in there, number 21. They're all good football players in there. All right, are they playing great right now? No. Okay, but it's early in the season, so all bets are off. You really don't know these two football teams yet. But this is a man fold play, so you're going to see the Aggies get the ball on the edge early in the football game last Saturday. Just take it back for me. Okay, so outside, right, this is a way to put a lineman downfield to block a safety. You're going to go man up. So these two are going to be manned up. We're actually going to pull. Our first pull is going to end up on that player right there, which will be the guard. Our second pull is the center. He IDs that as the Mike. He's going to pull for that player. So as soon as the center calls that player out, if I'm the right guard and I'm the first puller, I'm going to pull for the first guy outside of him, which is him. Then the backside knows they're going through for the next linebacker over, which is that player right there. Great job by the right guard coming down on the down block. Okay, great job by the tackle coming. Great job by the tackle coming down on the down block. Great job by the tight end, and the guard gets outside. Running back right now, he's just getting on the hip right here. Get on the hip, find the seam, set the blocks up, and get inside. Great job by the running back setting that up. And good job by the wideouts outside. So one of the things that I talk about all the time, when you're coaching this position, the hardest thing is this right here, these players right in here, okay, because they want to score touchdowns, they want to catch the football. If you do not block at that position, you will not run the football well against anybody, and you will not run the ball well against Florida if it's that case. All right, so here you go, right? So again, right, there's your backside. This is one of the hardest blocks of all. Our backside guard getting through to the backside linebacker, and there you go. This is another great scheme. If you go back for me one more time, right? So when you fold block right now, you just have to think, stop it right there for me. Okay, there you go, right? So when he blocks down, okay, and we pull, just like I said to Dave at the gym, okay, when we pull and we pull, okay, each one of these players is responsible for a gap. Okay, so as soon as you pull, there's 4 new gaps over here, which means right now, okay, when the right tackle blocks down on him, he can either chase and get back in this gap because it's going to be a new gap on the outside of the right tackle. He can either chase from behind or he can get over the top of that block. He's got to do one of those two things. If the right tackle blocks like that against the Gators, we're gonna run the ball very well.
Coach Turner, I got to tell you, our computer is freezing quite a bit.
Okay.
So if you see it kind of glitch, that's why. Let's go to that next play. I don't have that one in front of me. Here it is, 3rd and 1, tight zone.
Okay, so on 3rd and 1, tight zone, right? This is a great clip for you right here. Okay, so we got to do a better job. Okay, so the Aggie offensive line, the way I see the world right now, in the first 2 games, you really don't know football teams in the first 2 games, right? You really don't know what you have yet. And each season's a new season, especially today with free agency. All right, with the NIL stuff and all the transfers, right? So now, that being said, on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, you're going to see the center came up, okay, and he IDs the front side linebacker. You have a tight end here, right? So this is 12 personnel, which means the tight end, right, and the 2 tight ends, they're going to end up here to these 2 players. Okay, if you watch the center right now, right, okay, I'm sorry, he's not going to end up. He's going to split flow. These 2 are going to, the tackle and the tight end are going to end up there. The center's going to work to the mic, and the backside guard and backside tackle have to go through. This is a zone block in place, so everybody's rolling off the ball in the same direction. The running back's going to read that block and that block on those 2 players. If that player's reached, he'll take the ball right there. If he's not reached on his 3rd step, he's going to come back and read that block. If he's reached, he's going to put the ball right here. Very dangerous, right? So you have to think as a lineman, right? What's the situation? So if it's 3rd and 1 against any football team, he knows right now there's a possibility of run through in any one of these gaps. Okay, so I have to be aware of that. So where are my eyes as a right guard right now? Of course, they're going to be on this player, but I've got to be ready for that player to try and run through. He doesn't do that right here, okay, and this can be catastrophic. Let that roll for me, please. You can see the right guard, he misses that. Now, the split flow ends up doing a good job with it, of course. He just lucks into it, of course. Go back one more time for me. And again, right, you can see here, right, so he's got to be ready for that run through. And you're going to see the Gators are going to do this on Saturday. They're going to try and run through with everybody here. And everybody's obviously going to be downhill on 3rd and 4th and 1. The back does a great job of getting the first down. That's a good look at that one. Go to the next one.
Next play is a pass pro play there, and the Aggies were leading 21-0 with 10:36 there in the 2nd quarter.
I would say going into this game, right, like when we run the football, when the Aggies run the ball, you're going to see them run all of those schemes. But I would imagine, right, with all that stoutness inside, they're going to play 2 fronts. The Gators are going to play 2 fronts. They'll play a 3-down front, and they'll play a 4-down front. If they're in a 3-down front, it's a little bit different than I just said. In a 4-down front on defense, each one of the defensive linemen and linebackers is responsible for a gap. And they've got to stay in that gap, okay, to make that defense work. And then basically everybody plugs up the gap, and they force the ball to bounce out to the tacklers. In a 3-down defense, when you see that big 21 in there at 450, okay, he's a 2-gap player. And when he's a 2-gap player, he's playing right on the center. When you see him, he's going to extend on the center, and then if the ball goes this way, they tell him he's either the A-gap player play side or the A-gap player backside. And then the linebacker fills in for the other gap. Other than that, they're all rushing up the field. So they all have primary gaps if it's 3 down, and then they have a secondary gap if it's 3 down. Great, let's just pass protection right here. So here's the Aggies. Here's your situation right here, right? So it's 1st and 10, okay? We're on the 15-yard line. They're going to throw the football right now. Okay, so this is a 4-down front. So the center would come up right now. He'd call 4 down. Just remember this. Everything adds up to 5, right? You got 5 old linemen. Okay, so it's going to add up to 5. He would say 4 down. Okay, we're blocking the 4 down. He's going to point at that player right here. So this would be 3-jet protection, they would call. I don't know exactly what they call it, but that's the general call. 3-jet. The running back is on that player to any other player other than the point. So right now, right, that's basic for it. 4 down, we're going to that player right here. They do a great job with pass protection right here. They get targeted correctly. The back comes across, and he ends up blocking the nickel coming off the edge of the safety here. Go back one more time for me, and you can see when you give the guy time to throw, this is a heck of a football player right here. I know he struggled in the first game, okay, but the bottom line is if you watch his performance throughout his time here, he is a phenomenal player. And the way that I look at that for him is, okay, anytime I watch a football game, if every time that player steps on the field, I'm like, I have no idea what's going to happen right now. You're excited about it. That's that kid right there. He's a heck of a player.
He's talking about number 15 for our radio audience, Conner Weigman. Let's go to the next play, defending the counter, and it was immediately after that touchdown, 10:27 there in the 2nd quarter, 28-0, the Aggies leading.
Okay, so let's flip it over to the defense right now, okay? So here you're going to see right here, right? So McNeese ends up hitting a counter on him. Okay, so it's the same thing. Now watch what the counter is. It's a gap blocking play. So they're going to block down, they're going to block down, they're going to block back, and we're going to pull, and we're going to trap him, and then we're going to pull this one right here and trap the next one that shows. Okay, so if you just listen to what I just said, that player right there has to take the air out of this right here. So as soon as that player goes down, he's the C gap player. That's the A gap player. That's the C gap player. That right there is the B gap player. This is the backside A gap player. If you just look at it from that standpoint when the play starts, once you pull, just like I said, once that player pulls, now the A gap is that long right there between the tackle and the center. Once he pulls. And now once he pulls over this way, nothing changed for that player. He's got to take the air out of this tackle right here. Watch the tackle go down. And now we are a wrong shoulder team, so stop it right there if you can. Okay, so now watch. Just go back for me. You can see they get 5 here, okay? The Gators are going to run this play. The Gators run this play pretty well. Okay, so stop right there for me. You can see the tackle's going down. Okay, so on this play, when you run a counter, you're going to leave 2. Leave that and leave that right there. So I'm going to leave the C-gap player, and I'm going to leave the first linebacker off the ball in the box. And that's for the 2 pullers. Everything else is walled down inside like that. That's why you see the big tackle coming down here, and he's going to end up walling with the right guard all the way to the backside linebacker. Now, the big deal is this. This player right here, when he goes down, he knows right now when that player goes down, somebody's coming to get him. Okay? And so what he's got to do is as soon as that right tackle blocks down, okay, he's a wrong shoulder player, which means he's going like this. As soon as he blocks down, he's got to squeeze him. So a lot of defenses will have you squeeze him and knock him off and don't let him get to the backside backer. But what our defense does is they do a wrong shoulder technique. He comes down, and when he hits the puller right now, again, he's the C-gap player. Once the puller gets here, he's got to get in this gap right here because this is the new C-gap. And that's a wrong shoulder player. The thing he's got to do a great job of when he wrong shoulders is you can't wrong shoulder. When you hit the guard, as the guard hits you, he's going to continue to try and drive you. He can't move you off the spot. You've got to hold that position. He's got to do a great job at holding the position. Okay, on defense right now, he's got to hold the spot. So as soon as the guard and tackle block down on him, he's got to hold the spot and hold his gap. All right, he can't get moved. He gets moved a little bit, he gets moved a little bit, and then all these things come at all the top. There's a sliver in there for the back, and you can see the back hits it right here. Right there, it's a pretty good play for them. Okay, and again, we do a great job at rallying to the football on defense. We got our safety down there, number 3, coming down a lot into the well as a part of the run game stoppers.
Coach Turner, we're starting to run out of time. Can we get to the Gator plays? We have 2 Gator plays that we want to look at. Here's the first one, and it's going to take maybe Kay a second to load it up. But the play is early on in the first quarter, 8:52 left. Gators defense trying to stop the counter.
Yep, here's your counter again. So you watch, right? So again, you're talking about massive bodies inside. Right now, if you watch the Gators right now, it's different than what I just said. So what the Gators are going to do is they're going to take it on with their inside shoulder now. He's going to squeeze it in and force the ball back to the tacklers inside. So he's going to stay in the C gap, but as soon as he goes down and the puller comes, they're telling him to just, instead of getting back in the C gap, they want him to just stay in the D gap, and now the linebacker will sit in the C gap. And that's how they're going to play it. You're going to see him take it on with his inside shoulder right here. Go ahead, let it roll. And they block down and down. This is a 3 down front. Even though the nose is shaded, it's still a 3 down front. And there you go. They end up blocking down. They end up walling 99, walling 88, and there's a good play for them. And they're obviously overmatched right here, but you can see, like this player right here, the defensive end, he's got to come down and greet the guard. There's too much movement and too much movement inside right here for the defense. One more time if you can. Again, right, so watch the down blocks. They're going down, down, down. Good job by 41, which is the tight end coming around the corner. That's a good-looking play right there for them.
That is, this is incredible, by the way. Our chat's going crazy right now. Let's do the offense versus the defense on a goal line play against Miami.
All right, here you go, right? So, again, I'm just giving you a look at the Gator defense right here, right? So, now go back one more time for me. So, on this one, right, so stop the tape right there. This is a 3 down front. This is a jam front, they call it, right? Why is it called jam? Because this is a nose tackle right here. So this is big 21 as a nose tackle inside. So both of these players are truly defensive tackles right here. Okay, now watch, or defensive ends they might call it. These guys are 3 techniques, which means they're on the outside shoulder of the guard, outside shoulder of the guard. Which means this right now. They're truly gap players. He's the C gap, he's the B gap. He's the B gap, he's the C gap. This player right here is the nose tackle. Okay, with flow away like this, a lot of times he'll play the backside A, and that player has to fill. Okay, and one thing I don't see these players do very well is fill in the run game. Like right here, There's nothing great about this situation. They can't throw the ball deep. You got 11 guys in the well right now. Okay, you're down. If you get beat on a slant and someone comes over here and you screw that up, that's one thing, okay? But the one thing you would never let happen if you were him is for that ball to be run right there. Not with these stout players in the middle. That player's got to come downhill. He doesn't do it, okay? And if he didn't do it against them, he's not going to be able to do it against the Aggies. Let it roll. He's got to play it now. The nose plays the backside A. Now, the nose comes over the top because when you think of it, right, so this nose tackle, stop it. So initially, right, the nose, you can see his hat is behind the center, which means he's here and he's playing. Let me do it for you. He's here and he's playing behind the center. Now, that linebacker's got to play here because the ball's coming right here. So when he does that, right, now that's his primary. Once the ball breaks that plane, he's going to come back over the top and he's going to try and make the tackle, of course. That's his secondary gap is back over to the linebacker. He's standing straight up and down. Okay, his eyeballs are going through the guard right to the back. There's nothing gray about that. He should be right here. He's got to come down and fill that hole right there. Not necessarily to make the tackle. All he's got to do is fill that gap, but he's got to hit it 1,000 miles an hour on the 1 yard line. These guys are too lateral right here at linebacker. They've got to be in the backfield. And if they're not in the backfield against the Aggies, if they're not downhill, they're going to get rolled. So there's a touchdown, okay, against Sanford scoring against the Gators. The Gators, I mean, right now, right, this is a great defense to stop inside run. You got to try and get the ball outside. Not necessarily, though, because you can see Sanford ended up scoring on this one right here. But that's a good look at linebacker play, D-line play at the goal line.
Coach Turner, can we do this more often? This was fantastic.
Yeah, I love it.
Love it. Thank you so much. Like, you get a clap. I mean, that was everybody.
I appreciate you, man.
That was fantastic. And OB, next time we have Coach Turner around, where do offensive lines like to go eat typically? If you're like,
Well,
where do quarterbacks take them to go eat?
Well, I would take them to the 1775.
100%. Barbecue, right? Have you been to 1775?
I have not.
It looks
Okay.
like that's how much that Florida nose guard weighs.
Oh, yeah, he's a monster. He's an absolute monster.
1775.
We're going to take you to 1775. They have the best prime meats, handmade sides, desserts, featured in Texas Monthly's top 25 new barbecue joints. Your favorite thing, OB, there is?
I love the pork ribs, but then, of course, I love the brisket, and, of course, then there's the mac and queso.
Right, the queso and macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
And you know this about me. I'm a protein guy.
Yes, you are.
But when I go to 1775,
You're a mac and cheese
I'm
guy.
on both teams.
Yes, you are.
I go to the meetings for the carbs. I go to the meetings for the proteins.
You
It's
can't control yourself when you get there.
No, you start using my hand with macaroni. It's gross, but I love it. I love it. 1775 open on Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until they're sold out. Online ordering turns off at 10 a.m. Check out the website 1775txbbq.com. That is 1775txbbq.com. 979-492-6241. Welcome back into TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations, David Nuño, Olin Buchanan, and our QB1 from Paragon Financial, Stephen McGee. What's up, man?
I think we're going to have a quiz. Everybody's got to see how much they retain from that.
So
he's the GOAT, isn't he?
Well, you walked in and you said, what did you say? Do you remember what you told me when you walked in? Best segment you've heard on radio.
I eat that stuff up. I learned a lot my last year. Of course, Sherman getting in the West Coast system, and then here comes Coach Turner.
Yep.
And I love pass protection schemes and like random defenses we get, and Coach Turner taught me a lot.
So listening to him, and again, this conversation started at the gym a couple weeks back. I'm like, gosh, I am dumb. I know nothing. It was like somebody put on the chat, it's like calculus, how advanced his offensive line coaching is in his mind, the way it works.
It is. People don't give offensive linemen enough credit. It's I've tried to say it for a long time. Those guys up front have to be smart, and the further you play, the highest level. I mean, those, especially centers, like, you've got to be able to make a lot of calls, and dumb people don't start on the offensive line.
All I kept thinking of when he was doing all that coaching and all that is, why didn't someone pick up the phone last year and call him up and say, okay, we've got a problem. Can you fix it?
I think he would have fixed it.
But, yeah, that's – we were complaining about the offensive line for a couple of years. The solution might have been right down the street.
He says he lives right down the street from here, so it could have worked. He brought up Conner, and he thinks he's a legit player. So just talk about Conner. We had that 1 week we're like, I don't know. You didn't say that, but he was really giving him some props. What'd you see from Conner?
Yeah, it was the bounce back week we needed, and I really liked that the coaches made a concerted effort. It looked like on that last drive, obviously you could have just lined up and ran the ball every play and scored, which is great, but you want to get your quarterback in a rhythm going into the next week, and I appreciate the fact that they threw the ball almost his entire last drive before they pulled him, and they got him in a rhythm, and they let him end on a high note, but he made some plays. There was a couple in that game that I was impressed. The thing that's always stuck out to me most about Conner is that he's a decisive decision maker in the pocket. He plays fast, and then the accuracy under pressure. Like I've said it a million times, but it's hard to coach those types of things. There was a throw last week when the safety came off the edge, and it was just a simple slant route, like a little glance, and the cornerback drove on the inside shoulder of that throw, and the ball had to be on the back shoulder. Meanwhile, he has a free safety that's unblocked coming right off the edge. That's a hard throw to make. It's not just like you're out in the backyard throwing a slant route. Yeah, now all of a sudden you got a guy that's about to tee off on you, and now you have to see the leverage of the defender and put it on the back shoulder, and all just like that. And those are the type of plays that we need to see. If this football team's going to be good this year, they're going to have to get a lot from 15. Because I'm not convinced today that we have enough playmakers on offense. If that person's there, it just hasn't shown up on tape.
Hasn't emerged
yet. Explosive playmaker. Is it Bussey? Is it Barber? Maybe in weeks to come. I don't know. Maybe it is Noah Thomas or Ja'Day Walker. It just hasn't shown today, and so he's going to have to make tight window throws.
Cyrus Allen could potentially be that guy too.
Cyrus Allen had a big week. The question is going to be, getting off press man-to-man coverage.
Yeah, I thought the best throw that Conner made last week was an incompletion. And it was to I think it was to Cyrus Allen.
Drop.
It was a drop. The defensive back got his hand in there, but it couldn't have been placed better.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. Look, maybe Bussey's the guy that's going to be the big play threat that the Aggies have been looking for. I still think it could be Moose.
Yep.
Whoever know what's going on there. It's too bad that they lost Reuben Owens, and then we keep hearing so much about Jabri Barber.
Yep.
I hope we get to see him this week. There's potential there for big play threats. You just got to turn that potential into reality.
Exactly. I've never seen him play, but I've heard a whole lot about him through spring ball, and so that is a name that of course he got out there last week, and it's a name that we need to see flash.
Yeah. John Parker on the chat asked about how rain could affect this game, because I've been pretty impressed with Le'Veon Moss and Amari Daniels.
Yep. The running back stable looks to be strong, even Smith as well. And then Conner in the run game. We don't give him enough credit for being an athlete in the pocket, his ability to make plays when it's not there.
He's no Stephen McGee, but he can run when he has to.
Thank God he's not, right? The weather's interesting. Conner's not a very big guy, and I had smaller hands from an NFL perspective. And I would imagine his hand's probably not much bigger than mine, but the game that sticks out to me last year was Massachusetts. Wasn't that who we played here? And it was a wet. And it
Years ago.
And that was an extreme scenario where it was really, really wet, but it was a struggle to get passes completed. I would imagine, though, probably advantage us, the ability to run the football. Graham Mertz is a turnover waiting to happen, so I like our odds in a wet environment.
Have you paid attention to Lagway at all?
I watched the highlights last week. I didn't see all the stuff in between, but the highlights were really impressive. He's a big kid. For some reason, I think Cam Newton, but his deep ball, the explosive, he's a problem. I'm surprised, I don't know about you guys, that they're considering the rotation. At this point, especially in that coach's tenure, you got to strike. Something's got to
I spoke to an insider that they said that Coach Napier is just concerned with the potential turnovers with such a young freshman and against A&M, at least starting off a little bit more conservative approach.
Yeah, but isn't that been the MO for Mertz? I feel like he's turned the football over all the way back to Wisconsin.
Except last year
he was pretty
Last year he only had 3 interceptions. So, but you're right, he's got 30 career interceptions. But last year he had the best year of his career, and they went 5-7.
I think he's 24 years old.
Sounds like me. I remember Mertz was a guy that we really wanted when he was coming out of high school here under Jimbo, and they were praising him, and he does have the ability, but man, he's had how many years now? Is this 6?
I think this is 6 year. Yeah.
It's never come out, during the games, and so he's DJ Lagway. I would live with the turnovers and just hope like heck, because if they're average football team this year, they're all getting canned, so you might as well see if you have something special at that with DJ, in my opinion.
Yeah, I go back. I talked about this yesterday. I go back to 2002 with A&M, and when they went with Reggie McNeil until he got hurt, all of a sudden the energy changed, and you saw this freshman with all this ability, and he just changed things throughout the whole offense, and everybody got excited about it. And I think it's unfortunate that he ended up getting hurt.
Let me add to that. I think the exact same thing happened here 2 years ago with Conner. When he came in that South Carolina game and played against Ole Miss, Jimbo was okay in that scenario because, he's going to build with this. There's excitement. They went 5-7, but you saw what Conner could do.
Exactly. Yeah, he flashed that ability that Coach Turner was talking about, and I know I've been raving about. He made some plays that I think coaches appreciate more than maybe fans, right? Those, I think fans love to see the DJ Lagway plays where he's just throwing bombs over the top. You're like, man, it's hard to coach that kind of talent. But to me, those type of plays, you don't win championships with. It's the guy screaming off the edge and you put a ball right here. Those are the plays that Tom Brady did a great job of making for 18 plus years, every dang game. And that's why they were good.
Yep, I agree with that. Obi?
Well, the thing that I understand why Napier might say, okay, I'm going to go with Mertz because he is more experienced, and maybe when A&M tries to disguise their coverage, maybe he figures it out faster, right? And maybe he deals with the rush better as far as getting rid of the ball faster. All that said, if he starts Mertz and they lose, he's already on the edge of being fired. That might push him over.
I agree. That's exactly right. And look, I don't care who's the quarterback. To me, I'd rather have DJ Lagway back there with a bunch of confusing fronts because Elko's going to throw the kitchen sink at him.
Yep.
I would. I don't care which one of those guys is starting. I'm going to come after Mertz. I'm going to make him make good decisions under pressure. I'm going to give him exotic fronts, and I'm going to make them throw the football to beat me. And I'd rather have DJ Lagway back there, at least with the ability to escape and throw one over the top and change the game with an explosive play.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with a little buy-sell lease. Brazos Running Company time. They're located at Century Square, locally owned, Aggie-operated. They are the best specialty running store in the area, and they have all the best brands you can imagine. Brooks, On, Hoka, you name it. They're going to have those top brands there. And when you go there, they're going to help you find the right shoe, right? And For me, it was by putting me on their treadmill, and they analyzed my gait, and they said, look, you have this kind of step, we should go with this type of shoe. And it was a great decision. I got my Clouds. Because of it, they're fantastic. They've got all the top brands beyond shoe brands. They have clothing brands like Fiore. They've got Birkenstock. It is the place to go to get your fitness gear on. Brazzers Running Company, located at Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill in College Station. Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. We got a little breaking news in the Pac-12.
Oh, yeah. Pac-12 is back, baby.
That's your intro? The Pac-12 is back, baby.
No, I'm saying, the Pac-12, it's nice to see them come back. They're ushering a new era, adding Boise State, Colorado State, California State, and California State University, Fresno, San Diego State, all to join.
Well, what is California State University?
CSU? Huge.
There's not a California State.
That's what it says on their official press release. California State University.
Cal State, baby.
I don't know who
Big
they
fan
are.
of Cal State.
There's like Cal State.
Hold on, I'm
Berkeley,
confused.
There's Cal State Davis.
I thought this was going to be a joke. So you have the Pac-2 right now, correct?
Yeah.
And that was a great joke, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay. I thought
I told a joke earlier this week. Colorado State.
No, I'm looking at it here. It's on the Pac-12 site. Boise State, Colorado State, California State, Fresno, and San Diego State.
So are they merging? I thought that they were merging with the.
I think that's a
Mountain-
typo.
The Pac-12 Board of Directors voted unanimously to admit Boise State, Colorado State, California State, Fresno, and San Diego State.
What's the mascot of Colorado State? The
Rams.
No, I'm sorry,
Cal State.
California State. What is the California State? Are they like
Liberals?
the homeless?
The Pelosi's. What do we got, Nuño?
Oh, so Fresno. Thank you. So
Okay.
Fresno State. Right.
Fresno.
Fresno
So yeah,
State.
basically they're.
So it was a typo?
No, maybe it was red.
It was not. There's. It was written as California State University.
But is there a California State?
No.
Okay, okay, thank you.
It's listed as California State University, comma Fresno.
Okay, but back to
Okay.
the conference though. So
what they should have had was a hyphen.
Yes.
Fresno.
Yeah. There was a typo there.
but I thought that they were merging with the two teams that are left were merging with another
But
conference.
that's basically what they're doing.
Okay, so these teams are now merging with that
The
one as well?
Mountain West is going to join the Pac. Okay, some teams, and I would bet that they'll add some more from the Pac. Maybe Stanford and Cal will reconsider and move back so they don't have to play their volleyball games on the East Coast.
Man,
By the way, I had what I thought was a great joke this weekend. Earlier this week, it went right over your head.
It always does.
Because we were talking about the Auburn losing to Cal and what a bad loss it was. I said, really? Because I think if Cal had not moved to the ACC, they could have finished at least third in the Pac-12.
That was a good joke, and I missed it.
It's a good joke, dude.
It went over my head.
You're too locked in. I love that.
I'm
It's game
locked
day.
in.
That's what it is. He's locked
I'm
in.
locked in. I'm fighting with
appreciate
people
that.
on Twitter. No, I'm kidding. I'm not doing that. Let's do a quick buy, sell, lease. We have 2 minutes left. A minute and a half, really.
2-minute warning.
Coach's future stock, okay? Buy, sell, lease. Marcus Freeman, Billy Napier, Sam Pittman.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I'm buying Freeman.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are getting loud about him.
Yeah, but he still has another year.
I mean, I
And
got
they're gonna have a good year this year. They're good.
I mean, the other two are got to be set.
Who goes first?
Napier. If A&M takes care of business,
They
Yeah,
for sure.
but Arkansas blew a lead last week in a game they easily could have won.
yeah. But there were very low expectations for
So
them.
who you selling?
You want to make a little cheeseburger bet here?
Yeah.
All right, I'll take Florida. You taking Arkansas?
Okay,
Have
that's
to sell
fine.
first.
I'll sell Pittman.
All right, I'll sell Napier.
All right. That was our best segment of radio, by the way. Thank you very much, OB. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Steven, stick around. We got Ryan Swope coming up next. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you got multiple ways you can do it. You can call us or text us, 979-693-1150. If you call us, we'll pick it up on the Boss Firearms Hotline. They are Aggieland's premier gun and accessory shop. They've got all you need to build your next firearm. Check them out at bossfirearms.com. Ryan Swope, Stephen McGee next on TexAgs Live. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Ryan Swope, Stephen McGee in studio. What's up, Swopey?
What's up, man?
I like that shirt.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
So you listened to the Jim Turner segment in the car.
Oh, yeah.
And
it was incredible.
Was it hard to visualize? I know you're a football player, yeah?
No, you don't even have to really know football. Just listening to that guy speak ball is incredible.
Yeah.
He taught me so much. I know he's an offensive line coach, and I was a receiver. That man taught me how to block. And he's just one of the smartest humans when it comes to X's and O's. And heck, you played with him for a year. He's tough on his kids, but man, he loves his kids. He loves ball, and he knows what he's talking about. It was incredible. Loved it.
Do you think being tough on kids, both of you guys answer this, is doable in today's world with NIL? Like, you can be tough to a point, right? Like, there's part of the reason I don't think Steve Adazio worked was he was very tough.
Well,
Right?
there's being tough, but then there's being
Soft.
there's also being like unreasonably obscene. And I think that there's a fine line there. I think the guys got to know that you care about them, you have their best interests, and there's actually really good substance coming out of what it is you're trying to say. Offensive line rooms have a tendency, the way in which those O-line coaches communicate is generally a little bit more blunt and a little bit more forward. But you have to remember, they're coaching 5 guys. And you got to get these big boys up there motivated. And so there's a little bit of tough love. And I think it's generally speaking, it's pretty well accepted by those groups. And I mean, whether it's Coach Turner or in the NFL, wherever, all the offensive line coaches were pretty much a similar personality.
Yeah.
They're always the most fun.
Ryan, let's talk wide receivers.
Yeah.
Okay. I've heard some folks say, I don't like what I saw from the receivers, even against McNeese. What do you say to that?
Yes, I agree. I think I don't think it was our best performance. I think too many drop balls. Not enough explosive plays. But I did see some guys. I thought Noah's catch there, it was a great throw. Noah's catch there in the end zone, back shoulder, great adjustment. He went up, made a play, which is expected against McNeese State. Cyrus Allen, really excited about that kid. I think he's special. I think he's got kind of that next level speed to get some separation. I look forward to just getting him involved in the game plan more. Moose, nice to see him on the field.
When he's on the field, I feel like good things happen, man.
They do. Yeah. They do. He's just a special player, and he's elite. It's just a matter of, I think, getting him, I guess healthy or just in shape. I think some plays he takes off, which you can't have guys taking plays off out there. So if we can get him, mentally ready for some of these ball games, he's going to be a huge difference maker.
I don't know if you guys saw this. I forget what guest yesterday on the show, but he mentioned that some of the wide receivers weren't going all out on every play. And, sometimes if it's a go route, you got to go. Did you notice that at all?
I did. I saw it a couple of times, and maybe he's gassed or maybe he's tired or maybe he doesn't know what he's doing. I'm not really sure, which sometimes, people point fingers at Conner, but if you're a receiver and you're kind of loafing on a play and Conner's trying to get the ball to you, it kind of leaves him in a bad situation.
Yep. Yeah, the little details that don't show up from the fan stands always, like getting to the right depth too, right?
Yeah.
If you have a 5-yard stop route and you're hot as a quarterback and the guy runs it at 8 yards, well, now it's an incomplete pass and it looks like the quarterback doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
But it's really on the receiver not getting to his depth, the tight end. So the little details really, really do matter. You want guys that are on top of their stuff and that do it the right way every play.
See, what kind of conversations are being had in the huddle when that does happen? Because I'm sure the quarterback, dude, you did not run the route correctly.
Yeah, there's always a little bit of after the snap, I feel like Jason Garrett was always really good about this, though. He's always like, next play. Forget about that. We'll worry about that in film breakdown. Let's play with such tempo that we don't have time to discuss what just happened. On the sideline, they're going to say, hey, let's make sure you're getting to 4 yards or 5 yards on that. Try to coach up each other and see make sure the quarterback and receivers are communicating. But to me, the biggest emphasis is going to be on play calling, and it's a big week for Colin Klein, in my opinion. I feel like momentum in college sports is really, really important, and getting a good start, scheming up the pass plays this week to get your quarterback completions. You can dictate personnel groups to make sure that they get the right defense on the field, dictate the coverage that you know they're going to be in, and now get that easy completion. You got to know what Conner wants to throw going into the game, whether that's a boot, whether that's a hook route, whatever it is. You got to get a couple completions early to get the offense moving, and you're going to have to scheme open explosive plays. I think we can all agree on that today. Based on what we've seen, you've got to be able to schematically put out points on the board. I mean, it's just not going to. You're not going to just run deep on guys and throw it over the top coverage.
Thoughts on the play calling from Colin Klein so far and what you want to see this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been fine. I think it's a matter of these guys just getting comfortable in this system, and I think just executing. I think that there's been a lack of execution. Guys not getting their depths on routes. Conner not making throws. And so I think that goes and falls on really not the system or the play calling. It kind of falls on going back and doing it perfect and being sufficient and just all your route running and executing. And so if you're not doing that, it makes it pretty tough. So, but I've liked his offense so far. I don't think we've seen it all. I think that he's probably holding some of those cards to his chest.
And I'm not saying I don't like his offense at all. I'm just saying, if you don't feel like you have an explosive playmaker on the offense side of the ball, it's going to emphasize the fact that you're going to have to Lane Kiffin your way into some explosives. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, for sure.
Does Bussy give you, I don't know if Anias vibes is the right word, but something that you can give him the ball and great things can happen, Ryan?
Yeah. I think he's an explosive player. Let's find a way to get that guy the football in some space, whether that's bubble screens. Obviously he's on all the return games, punt return, kick return. Hell, let's hand him the football. I think he's still working on his hands and just getting comfortable with the offense. But if we can just try and get that guy the ball in some space, I think he's going to be a difference maker for us for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt. The question, he's been on offense for 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
And so he's got to learn the system. They're probably just trying to give him little bits and pieces. But is he a running back? Is he a wide receiver? I don't think we really know. But
like Anias, right? He can do a little bit of everything.
Anias can do everything. But I think he was, obviously he's a receiver first.
Yeah.
But he has the ability to go in the backfield. He's maybe the same will hopefully be true for Bussy. And then Barber, I think we talked a little bit in the earlier set. Like, I haven't really seen anything. Like, I've heard a lot about him.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure he's got something there. And hopefully he's healthy enough and can start getting back in shape. And this other part people often forget is, like, if you've been sidelined with an injury, you're probably not full go from a conditioning perspective too. So getting reps.
And also, like, you're not completely confident where your injury was, right? Like, Conner, it takes some games to get there, right?
For sure.
I remember I separated my shoulder my senior year, and that first hit, you're like, you're kind of turning away from it. And then we were actually laughing with Coach Turner earlier. It's the exact same no backs protection and cover zero. They're double A gapping us, and we don't squeeze. We do the double bump, and we didn't bump either one. And here comes separated shoulder number 2. Yeah. I'll tell you what, coming after that second separated shoulder, now all of a sudden you're like, man, if I just play football, I'm going to separate this thing immediately. So there's definitely the mental aspect to getting over an injury. But I think once you get a couple hits in, I think the competitive juices come out and you're ready to party.
All right, follow me through this line of thinking. So there's a chance that 3 DBs from Florida starters are out this weekend.
Oh, wow.
Okay? I don't care, because I've seen what a freshman or young offensive line can do, and protect Notre Dame. Like, my thing is, it doesn't matter what happens there. Our dudes have to play their game.
Yeah. You can't really I know as our coaches, and we never looked at that as players, like, oh, they're hurt, maybe an opportunity to. No, because this is the SEC. Everybody's got depth. Just worry. The only thing you can worry about is yourself, and make sure that you're doing the proper things to get ready. I know this team. It's a good, SEC team. We're going on the road. It's gonna be tough. It ain't gonna be easy going in there, and we've struggled on the road. So, yeah, they're banged up, and there's plenty of opportunity, but they're going to be ready to play.
No doubt they are, and so is that environment. That environment's going to be ready to play too. And so some of the questions that you haven't seen answered yet is how this team responds on the road. It's not been a good last 2 years, obviously, but offensive line, I'm a big fan of them. I think that they've made much improvement, but playing on the road is much different than it is at home as an offensive line group. Communicating up front, the different looks that they're getting, it's going to be loud, cadences. You don't want those pre-snap penalties that are often plague you on the road. You can't play behind the chains. And so I want to see how this offense operates in a loud environment. Can they handle the noise? Can Conner lead them, get them lined up, and execute? It's a big question mark for this group.
So I think it's interesting that you bring that up because so far, if you were to ask me 3 weeks ago my questions coming into the season, my questions were the DBs, special teams, offensive line.
Yep.
And those questions aren't necessarily answered, but I feel so much better in all three of those areas so far.
I do too.
100%. Yeah. I mean, defense, I feel really good.
The back end. I think we'll be tested the back end.
I do too, and that's
we
why
really hadn't been tested on our DBs hadn't been tested.
We haven't played anybody that can throw the football yet, and DJ Lagway is a guy that can really test you over the top.
Yeah,
we're going to get tested eventually. Quinn Ewers, the kid at Missouri. I mean, there's always good quarterbacks in the SEC. That is a question. I do like the way that Will Lee has competed, both not just as a pass defender, but coming up in the run game, having a corner that's willing to tackle. I'm really excited about the defense, though. I'm not as concerned on that end. I feel like we're going to be able to schematically get after quarterbacks and create incompletions on the back end and protect them. My concern right now is squarely on the offense. Can we get explosive plays?
How important will it be, back to the defense for a quick second, to when Lagway goes into the game, because he's going to come in, the place is going to go crazy, kind of shutting that down quickly. Not giving the team hope, not giving the fans hope, like really showing like this is your promise. Well, he just threw an interception on his first drive.
I'm going to blitz the ever-living crap
Confuse
out of a young
him,
quarterback.
Bring pressure.
I'm going to make sure that he knows the answers. Like I want him to have to play like a veteran quarterback. Yeah. Hey, if I if I overload you to the boundary here and I know you're going to be forced hot, do you know what your answer is? And I'm gonna test him. Now, on the flip side, I think they're going to keep it very simple. Their answer is going to be screens, just simple RPO stuff, and then match protect and take a shot with the arm. That's an interesting dynamic to your point, Dave. But I still believe that you got to come after him nonetheless. And if you can get him behind the chains, some incomplete passes early, and then you're starting to think, well, dadgum, do I really belong? Am I good enough to play at this level? Can we handle all the adversity? All those type of things come into play, and then the team tanks, hopefully, and Napier is fired before the third quarter.
Well, I talked to an insider who believes, depending on how the game goes, like he could be fired this weekend.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a loss, how they lose. If Lagway gives them hope, the way Conner gave A&M hope a few years back. But
Did you see Lagway at all, the highlights? I think you'd love him.
Hadn't he been around for like 5 years?
No,
that's Mertz. That's Mertz. Yeah, Mertz has.
Oh.
Yeah,
Mertz is the statue.
Lagway is this kid from Willis, Texas that is a big-time, like, 5-star recruit. And
so are they going to shuttle,
yeah, they're going to rotate. He started last week because Mertz was out and put up some big – now, granted, 450 yards passing, I would say 130 of that was, they do the little speed sweep, but they shuttle the ball to the kid, and they had 2 plays for probably 150 yards and touchdown on that. Take that out, he's still for 300 yards, and, I mean, the deep ball –
looked pretty.
He throws a deep ball like Gerard. Like, it's super – like, puts a lot of hair on it and can catch it. And
Interesting dynamic.
This game, like at least from an A&M for both teams, but from an A&M perspective, a win kind of resets the season, does it not? Like okay, we've won on the road. That we got rid of that problem. We show we can go in a hostile environment and do it. I think it starts to bring back hope. A loss in this place is going to be just a cesspool of negativity.
Yeah, it's going to be catastrophic for whoever loses this game. I'm be honest. Don't you agree, Swope? Like whichever team loses this one, it's going to be.
It's going to be tough. I mean, I think it's so big. If we can win this game, it kind of like brings flashbacks back to 2012.
Yep.
And we went 6-0 on the road that year. I mean, if we could just start doing that, I think it's what this program needs. And honestly, I believe in our football program. I think that this is a great starting spot to get a little run and get hot. We just got to be efficient on offense, and we got to tackle better and just do the little things that win football games.
Yeah, they've got to tackle better. They can't make those mistakes we have seen on the road. You guys talked about the explosive plays. Can that be found during a season? So, like, we've only had 8 quarters of football, so we don't really know this team just yet. But, like, if you have these kind of questions, can it really be figured out week 4, week 5, week 6, or are you who you are?
I'll let you take that one.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Uh-oh.
I feel like explosive plays have a lot to do with Jimmys and Joes.
Okay.
You know, it's can they be found? I said this earlier. Yes, they can be. But you can't rely on your coordinator to create a bunch of explosive plays every week through scheme. There are times when you can do that, yes, but ultimately it's going to come down to
These
guys
kids have to
executing
step
them.
up and make plays, man.
I agree.
Bottom line. They got to make plays.
Guys, you look at the SEC, and unfortunately there's a couple of really good teams, some down the road, right? But there's a big group of guys that I just don't know. And I'm not talking about the lower tier teams like Arkansas and Florida. I'm just saying, like, there's a chance if A&M figures it out this weekend that they could be really good.
I agree.
That's still there.
I agree with you on that. I'm if they win, you know, if they get by this one, then you get
Bowling Green.
Bowling Green, which is going to be tough.
Dude, that's going to be a tough game.
Yep.
That they look
They
good.
look good against Penn State.
I agree. And then Arkansas, but they're all very winnable games. And all of a sudden, where we are looks completely different than what
100%.
after week 1 against Notre Dame.
Can you imagine getting to that Missouri game at 4-1?
That would be great.
Missouri will be a top 7 team in the country at that point, more than likely, because I think their schedule's pretty light.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's what we like to do as fans is say, hey, okay, this would be really good, but
They can't.
you can't get to 4-1 unless you're 1-0 this week. And so
Exactly.
they better take care of business because I promise you, even though Florida's not very good, it's still going to be a tough win on the road.
Have you guys seen enough to give you optimism this weekend?
No.
So, like,
Not yet. I mean, and I'm just being honest.
but you're not saying you expect them to lose. You just don't have the optimism yet.
No, I'm not. No, because I'm pretty realistic. I hadn't seen enough explosive plays. I hadn't seen, that dynamic catch where a guy goes up and makes that play when we need it most in a 3rd and 8 situation. So no, I mean, I think that we're still growing as a football team. We're still trying to find out our identity. And I'm still waiting to get a big win on the road, man.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, if you can do that, I think you find your identity as a football team and you start believing and people, it's contagious and you come together and you start winning games.
And losing's contagious too.
Yep.
It is. It is.
I'll tell you this, though. One thing I do love about culture, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but in both games now, I've seen 2 of our best players, and referring to Nick Squirton and Shamar Stewart up front, pursuing the football 40, 50 yards downfield. And when your best guys have that kind of effort, it does produce winning culture, which says a lot to me about Mike Elko. Those 2 things really stuck out to me. And to Swope's point, when your best players are your best effort guys, they're your toughest guys, they're your best practice guys, that's when good things start to happen, the program turns around.
One last thing about injuries for them, at least. I'm going to just tell you some guys. Asa Turner, who transferred from Washington, not Washington State, he's out. He's pretty good. Devin Moore, their starting cornerback, he's questionable. And their best wide receiver, Eugene Wilson, is questionable. OB said an insider told him he is out. I know I already said it doesn't matter. I want A&M to play well, but you've got to capitalize on a team that not only has dysfunction, a coach that could lose his job, they don't know what's going to happen at quarterback, and they have injuries.
You got to capitalize. I mean, there's going to be plenty of opportunity for our kids to go out there and maybe have an edge, mismatch, probably a couple freshmen out there running around trying to figure out how to play. So, what a great opportunity for our offense to capitalize on a younger back end secondary that's banged up. My biggest question is who's going to be that guy?
Yep. Our buddy Jonathan Lusk wants to take all of us snipe hunting.
Oh man, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Forward to that.
Where do you want to go?
He's got relationships with all these ranches around the world. He told me Africa. He told me Mexico. Obviously Texas, Louisiana. He's got places all over. Florida.
Trophy snipe.
Can you imagine Nuño going on an African safari for snipe
hunt?
on Bird Dog? What an advertisement!
Dude, we'll video it. We'll put it up.
Oh man,
I've
Get him
heard
some
snipers
snake boots.
hard to catch too.
They're hard.
Yeah.
Are you gonna bow or?
They're going to teach me. That's
gonna go
one of their services.
Get this man a spear.
Yeah, spear and some dogs.
Fight the heart. I'll do it all.
Just track them down.
By the way, they're an Airbnb for hunters. So, if you've got a ranch you want to use, if you want to make sure that you have some hunters come out there, let Lusk and the group there at Bird Dog. The website is birddogit.com. They've got relationships with over 60 plus ranches. That's growing daily. Brand new hunters, seasoned hunters, you name it. And TexAgs is going to be putting up an event here soon that I'll be at. I think McGee is going to be at. Maybe we can talk Ryan into going it. So we'll tell you that information when it becomes available. It is birddogit.com. Birddogit.com. And we are back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 2 of the program's we've had a fun show. Jim Turner, McGee, Swope, swipe hunting, you name it. You ever gone swipe hunting? No. Are you familiar with it? No. I think you should think about it.
Yeah.
I've never gone either. McGee and Swope have been trying to get me to do it for a long time. You should definitely consider doing so.
Definitely take a look.
Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center, which we've already been at. And Juan, you got some news and notes for us?
Well, I actually have a text from Madden in Houston. He's asking if A&M doesn't win this weekend, who can they realistically beat?
Everybody on their schedule.
Yeah.
I'm not going to allow a year one program's issues early on determine the fate of the rest of the season. Now, does it become a lot more difficult? 1,000%, right? But look, this place is going to be horrendous if they lose. I'm going to be moody. You're going to be moody. You're probably not going to be moody. You're a pretty happy guy. But I'm going to be really moody if they lose. There's no doubt about that. That's 1,000% correct. That all being said, I am not going to allow that to determine the rest of the year. Because look, even the last couple years with and I bring this up and feel like I just want to see wins, and I get that. But with all the dysfunction, these games are coming down to the fourth quarter. I got to think with better coaching across the board, you're going to find ways to win these games that are tight. So, but I'm not going to allow my mind on a Thursday of a game that I think A&M should win to start going that direction just yet. So if they lose, who can they beat? They can still beat Arkansas. They can still beat Auburn. I think they can still beat South Carolina. I know South Carolina looked really good last week, but I think they can still win those games. I think they can beat LSU. All right? So, yeah, I'm not impressed with LSU. You looked at me like the LSU is this juggernaut. I'm not impressed. At home, they beat them the last couple of years. As of today, I'd pick A&M over LSU.
Okay.
You don't look convinced.
It's, the Aggie in me. I want to be happy, but, can't get too happy right now. But something else I wanted to bring up was softball announced its SEC schedule for this upcoming season. Home games will include Florida, Alabama, LSU, and Arkansas.
Cool.
So exciting stuff from them.
Yeah, I love Trisha Ford. I think they're going to be. They were so close to beating Texas last year. I thought they were going to do it. They're moving in the right direction. Anything else?
No, a majority of people really like Jim Turner's segment. I felt like I was in a math class listening to him.
But in a fun math class.
In a fun math class,
right?
Yeah.
Not like the math class you fall asleep in. The math class, okay, I need to study this information because I'm going to be better for it. So I saw a headline of Paul Feinbaum. Paul says things sometimes that get people moving. He says, Texas A&M loss versus Florida would be a punch in the gut is the headline. And I read this on 3. I guess he went on, what show was it? I think it's Greg McElroy's show, Always College Football Podcast. And his quote is, I really think it would be a punch in the gut to the university that just dropped nearly $80 million so they could get rid of their coach. He says, I think it would be way too early to judge Elko. I think everyone seems to like him. I think he's done some good things. It just felt like the Notre Dame game got away. Suddenly we look at Notre Dame a little bit differently. It would say a lot. And I agree. And then he says this comment, Florida by no means comes close to among your top 5 most difficult SEC games that A&M has this year. So back to that text that came in, I think it was from Madden in Houston. Yeah. I think that's an interesting question combined with what Feinbaum said here. So I don't know if Kay has access to the A&M schedule, but let's see if we can pull up that schedule and kind of go through these games. Because when you think about SEC games and the most difficult, I would say, in SEC games only, right? Texas at this point seems to be the hardest one on your schedule. I would say that Missouri would be your second hardest one on the schedule, okay? And then you would say right now LSU, but we're about to find out this weekend, LSU, South Carolina, then Auburn, right? At this point, especially being on the road, of your 5 hardest SEC games, right? So if that's the case, yeah, it kind of goes back to Madden's question, what games are you going to win? The only difference is I think that a new coaching staff, it takes time. I'm not saying that we're going to give them time to get wins, but I don't think if you win these games as you're learning things, it makes everything you've talked about in the offseason totally attainable because you think you're going to start moving in that right direction. If you don't win these games, then you start thinking, my goodness, how are they going to win on the road? How are they going to beat Auburn on the road, even though Auburn's a question mark? How are they going to go to South Carolina and win that game? Those all become questions that we would have to answer. Mississippi State's not one of their hardest SEC games. And I think the jury's still out on LSU. I think we're going to learn a lot more about them this weekend and in the coming weeks. Brian Kelly's a heck of a coach, and he typically figures things out, but I think this year they could be in a lot of trouble. Moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. They have a great selection of commercial vehicles with service body trucks, flatbed trucks, and several medium-duty trucks for those heavier jobs. They are locally owned and Aggie operated right here in the Brazos Valley. Of course, you can find them there in Caldwell. They have great pricing on their vehicles. They have a great selection of vehicles, and they have a huge inventory that would fit most of your needs. Small town dealership, but they give you that great vibe that you want to have, that small town vibe, yet with all the options you get in all the big cities, right? And it's just right down the road. We're talking 15 minutes, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Here on TexAgs Live, we are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Coach Henry reminding me that tomorrow morning, the A&M cross country meet, watch both the men and women's races, 45-minute entire meet, 10 schools, and the high school meet to follow, 40-plus schools. Come support the Aggies and go check them out. All right, it is now time for Around College Football, brought to you by Milliken Reserve, a College Station community featuring homes, trails, farms, and wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. Take part in the Milliken Reserve community with a Conservancy membership. Learn more at millikenreserve.com. And with that, we go to the Boss Firearms Hotline, and on video for the first time in over 9 years, my friend Aaron Torres, AT from Aaron Torres Online and Fox Sports Radio. AT, good morning, buddy.
What's up, David? I've been promising it for weeks. I finally decided. I just got out of the gym, face is a little bit puffy, but since you basically peer pressured me into doing this, give me a tour of the brand new studio. You've been talking about it, tweeting about it. I want to see all the bells and whistles. It looks amazing in all seriousness.
Okay, well, thank you very much. It's TexAgs Live. We're more of a studio show, so that's why we like to see you every once in a while, buddy. People love you. Sure. So let's do the far view. Kay Nagley's behind the glass, I believe, at the moment. Can we do the far view for us, Kay? No, we're going to get to that in a moment. I think we're struggling with it. But what you see of me right now, the box of David Nuño, right? The maroon and the maroon background and the fans. You love that.
It's a moneymaker. No, I know. Listen, you got to keep the bills on. Don't take the camera off Nuño. I get it. Well, how are we feeling about this weekend?
I actually feel really good about it, but there's a little lump in my throat of what if it doesn't go right. Because look, to me, Aaron, A&M should and has to win this game. There's no could. They should and have to. Not if they lose, is it the end of the world? Absolutely not. It would be potentially the end of the world for Billy Napier if Florida loses. But you've got a lot of guys injured over there. You have a dual quarterback situation. You've got an A&M team that has not won on the road since Missouri 2021, right? You've got better talent, in my opinion. You've got the better quarterback, in my opinion. And I know Lagway's going to be great, but as of today, I still think I'm not going to allow the Notre Dame game for me to look at as the only way I look at Conner Weigman. I'm going to look at the totality of his work. I think you have a better offensive line. I think you have a better defense. So, yes, A&M has to and should win this game.
Yeah. No, I'm just curious for the local perspective because, you and I have talked about this all, not just this summer and spring and fall and whatever, but previous years is just talking to A&M fans that I know, guys, they're tired of guys like me outside of the bubble, hyping this team and getting excited. And so I am personally with you. This is a game that they should win. But, listen, you mentioned the road struggles, and that's the only thing that gives me hesitation. You've struggled on the road historically. Eventually you're obviously going to break that streak. But, one way or the other, it's going to be a little on the nose in terms of the result. Either, oh, man, here we go. A&M takes another loss that they shouldn't on the road. Or, oh, there goes Billy Napier taking a loss where he couldn't decide on the quarterback. Fans hate him. So it's a very interesting matchup. First of all, just my personal opinion, I am with you. I think A&M has the better roster top to bottom. I think they have the less confusing quarterback situation. But we don't have a very good track record in recent years of A&M actually winning this game. But again, that's part of the reason why you went out and got Mike Elko, to get you over little humps like this and then hopefully big humps here in the future.
This is what I've gathered, AT. It's that, and I remember cautioning people in the offseason not to do this, but even myself is doing this, right? I find myself doing it sometimes. Grading Coach Elko's regime with Jimbo goggles, right? And I think because of the loss to Notre Dame and the way that game felt, it felt very similar to the Jimbo end of the era, right? Because of that, it feels like an extension of that. But it's a new era. Half the roster is different. Your quarterback had a bad game. And time after time, quarterbacks who have a bad game, their team typically loses. It kind of goes hand in hand, especially against a good defense. And then people were like, well, if Notre Dame's losing to a nobody in week 2, then A&M is worse than the nobody. And it doesn't always translate like that. It was just it was a bad week for Notre Dame after a very big week. And the defense is still elite. And there's still question marks about the A&M offense.
Yeah, and I think, first of all, I agree with you. You can't use the corollary with Notre Dame. Well, we lost to Notre Dame. Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. Texas A&M would finish 7th in the MAC. Like, that's not how this works, And I think, listen, the Notre Dame thing, you were obviously, listen, it's like this for anybody. You're going to get the best version of that team for all the obvious reasons. It's week 1. This is a game that they have been planning for just as much as it's been as circled on the calendar as it has been for A&M. And oh, by the way, like, I hate to say this, it was a tough matchup for A&M, right? Because the defensive front was really good, the secondary was really good, quarterback coming off of a major injury on the A&M side. So, like, I don't immediately run to, well, if Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois, then by default, Texas A&M isn't or can't be as good as we thought. But I also think, listen, the opposite is true as well, is when we talked about, hey, A&M, they actually return a lot of talent and Elko's going to clean some things up. We assumed that if that was the type of season that A&M was going to have, then you were going to win games like this. It's not as though Florida did something. Florida beats Miami 27-3 in week 1. All of a sudden, we're looking at this game a little bit different. No. Florida's exactly who we thought they were. As a matter of fact, they might be even more of a bigger mess than we thought they were. So it's intriguing. Like I said, I'm with you in that this is a game A&M should win, but I have no great feel that they absolutely will because, again, we have no track record and history of it. So,
well, this is what I told Ryan Swope and Stephen McGee, some former A&M players, about 30 minutes ago on the show, that to me they have to stop DJ Lagway early, right? Like, when he gets into the game, they cannot give him a chance to get that crowd and that team energized. And I compare it to when Conner came into the game against South Carolina a couple years back, where there was this hope. There was like, oh my gosh, regardless of the result, we see a future with this kid. You've got to stop that on drive 1 and 2. Once he comes into the game, you got to shut down that. You got to shut that down.
No, and listen, I agree with that 100% because listen, I can tell you, I don't know how tight you are with other fan bases within the league, but I got a couple buddies who are Gators. And, I was texting them on Monday after Napier's press conference. We're going to play both, blah, 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 this and that. They were demoralized. Like, dude, this guy being Billy Napier just doesn't get it. Like, he does not get what is at stake if he does not start winning games. And we know that. And so DJ Lagway is the hope not only for Billy Napier, but it's the hope for the fan base. Listen, I'll tell you this. This might sound weird. The fan base doesn't like it's probably what you guys experienced with Jimbo last year. The fan base doesn't want Billy Napier to suck. The fan base doesn't want to go through another coaching search, but the fan base also wants the head coach to show them reasons to believe that they are absolutely competent. By the way, this is also why I think it's a disastrous decision for Billy Napier. I think you either ride with Graham Mertz and you say, look, the kid isn't ready. He's going to have a series or two. And then you at least have that fallback. I think that's the wrong plan. But I also think the alternative is you just rip the Band-Aid off and go with DJ Lagway full speed. I actually think that's the right move. But I also think that middle ground is the weird ground because, let's say what if Mertz leads a touchdown drive on the opening drive, right? Then it's a field goal and it's 10-7, but are you still going to put in Lagway? And then it's like, but if you don't put in Lagway and lose, it's just the decision itself doesn't make sense. But I am with you. Lagway is the only thing that fan base is clinging to right now, and you can't give them a reason to get excited about that kid.
So, AT, to me this weekend, and in fact, we just got a text about something I wanted to ask you about. We're going to learn so much. We're going to learn a lot about Florida, even though we think we know. We don't know a lot about A&M, but we're going to know a lot more. And then LSU, the same thing. I am not sold on LSU having a great in fact, I don't even know. Are they an 8-win team potentially? Like this weekend? And by the way, we're going to learn a lot about South Carolina. Was that one weekend against Kentucky, an outlier? Or is that defense legit that good? And with game day there, can they shut down an LSU team? Because then you look at the LSU schedule, you're like, whoa, where are these 9 and 10 wins going to come from now that you've already lost 2 early on?
No, there's no doubt. And it's funny. I actually was going to say the same thing about South Carolina is, it was funny after that Kentucky game where they just destroyed Kentucky. I was doing some reaction stuff and I said, look, why it's frustrating for Kentucky fans is like South Carolina is not some amazing team. And oh my God, we all overlooked them in the preseason. It's like, no, they're not good. And by the way, South Carolina fans got very mad at that, at Torres for saying that. But I bring it up just solely to say, that, listen, I think we're going to learn a lot about both teams. I'm like you. I'm a little bit more down on LSU. Listen, talk about losing a fan base. I think if Brian Kelly were to lose this game, I think it would get really weird there really quick. And losing a fan base does not mean I'm not talking hot seat. I'm not talking this. I'm not talking that. But if you can't beat South Carolina on the road, you obviously you got Oklahoma, you got Alabama, you got some of these other big games late in the year. So you just go on and on down the list. You worry. So it is a very intriguing game. I am more of a believer that at the very least, Brian Kelly has shown an ability to, his teams have gotten better over the course of the year. In the case of the defense last year, maybe not significantly better, but the team got better. So I don't believe in South Carolina, and maybe I'm proved wrong. But I think that's a huge game for both teams. But to your point, David, I would absolutely argue that LSU has a lot more to prove Saturday, than South Carolina does.
Aaron, follow me on this one. I have a weird relationship when it comes to Bill O'Brien, the Boston College head coach. I worked with him for several years. He was actually really good. Huh?
I thought that was the weirdest. They made the playoffs like 4 of the 5 years before he got fired. And everyone's, he's terrible. You got to get rid of him. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not like the biggest NFL insider, but I watch every Sunday. I didn't think they were incompetent. I'd actually be curious. I don't know if we have time
I'll give you a little insight there. He was actually really good to me. It's kind of like my relationship with Schloss. Schloss was great to me. But what he did to my program, I take major offense to. What Bill O'Brien did to the Texans, I have big issues with, like trading DeAndre Hopkins for a cup of tea or a cup of water. Sure. Like the GM version of Bill O'Brien, and also dealing with him on a day-to-day basis. And I know what the culture was like in that building from folks that know him well. Wasn't a great environment, okay? That all being said, one of the things that I do respect of Bill O'Brien is the guy does understand football, can coach when you give him time to prepare. I don't always agree with his play calling. I didn't like when he put JJ in the Wildcat too many times. I didn't, I loved when he was at Alabama against A&M and some of the decisions that they made on 3rd and 1. Like, there's certain things I love about Bill. But I have respect for him as a football mind, okay?
Sure.
And, the thing that came out recently, I think Tom Brady's the one who said it. One of the things that apparently Deshaun Watson had a very hard time understanding an NFL playbook. And he got the very most out of Deshaun Watson that we've seen in the NFL. Like, he was brilliant with him, and now we're seeing a different Deshaun Watson. That's a long way of me saying what he's doing at Boston College, we'll see how it looks like at the end of the year. But he's got me intrigued. He got me intrigued because what he did against Florida State, and now I'm thinking Missouri should roll them, but maybe not.
Yeah, I just think another one we're going to learn a little bit about both. The Boston College Week 1 thing, I still think it's a little bit more of an indictment on Florida State. Those lines, and it's not all, the defensive line is not good, but, the offensive line, I don't really blame them because there's no threat of the quarterback completing passes downfield. I'm talking about Florida State now. Makes it a little easier to game plan. But I'll be curious, and listen, sometimes fit in everything is important, and I think Bill O'Brien being able to stay in Boston, my understanding is he has a son with some medical issue that's why he's really, he wanted to stay in Boston. Expectations aren't through the roof. And to your point, maybe he's never going to have the most talented roster, but he's never going to have the most expectations either. And he's going to be able to capitalize on that. So I think that's an interesting story. And I grew up in the Northeast. I'm wearing my UConn shirt right now. I've been to games at Boston College when Matt Ryan was there. The place is a fun place to watch a game if the team is half decent. But I bring it up because I think this is also a little bit of a Missouri thing is, okay, you beat Murray State, you beat Buffalo. What does it mean? I don't know what it means, but I am curious to find out. And listen, I think it would be cool if Boston College got back to a respectable 7-5, 8-4 type team that we could at least keep an eye on with obviously a coach that we're well aware of.
I appreciate you, AT. Thanks so much. Next time we'll have some camera situation fixed up so you can see it. If you grace us on YouTube.
I'll be back. I'll try to clean up. I got a haircut today. I'll make sure I'm shaved up next week. I promise. Don't you worry.
All right, AT. Appreciate you, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right. Talk soon, bro. Take care.
Later, man. Aaron Torres. Aaron Torres online here on the show. We had a break here. We'll come back with some closing thoughts before the fan show. Excited now to talk about Chance McClain and Heritage Films. I've talked about him a lot. I don't even know if you don't know about Chance McClain and Heritage Films. Have you been listening the last 3 years? I hope you have, because they make documentary films about people, families, businesses. And if you're thinking to yourself, that sounds like a good idea one day, guys, you're not promised tomorrow. Your family's not promised tomorrow. And I hate to be so bleak about it, but look, my dad's 94 years old. He's still alive. I had dinner with him and my mom yesterday, my oldest brother, Robert. It was great. And he's doing well, all things considered, the health problems he's had over the last year. But we did a Heritage Films a couple years ago, and it's just so nice to have that. And we watched it with him. We watched it with my mom and with my 4 children and with my brother Alex's family. To me, it was so cool to watch his story, how he met my mom, their love, how he started the family, how he escaped Cuba. For us to watch that story was very powerful and emotional. And it was cool for my kids to see that story. And in a couple of years, they're going to watch it again, and it's going to be a different kind of impact. And as they get older, they're going to share it with their kids so they all know where their family started. Heritage Films does that for everybody, guys. They do it for family businesses, family ranches, everyday people. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. All right, your car wash tradition with the friendliest staff and a personal touch is back. We're talking about Aggieland Express Car Wash, both in South College Station and, of course, the Texas Avenue location. They've got all the services that you want. The new location, though, is the one that has the full-service wash, So you can choose that option. They'll take care of everything for you, the drying, the cleaning, the vacuuming, you name it. For a special deal they have right now, limited time, you get the full-service option for half price. That is $20. It's normally $40. but you can get it for $20. And I'm going to give away a free one right now. 979-693-1150. You're going to get yourself a free car wash from Aggie Express Car Wash at the Texas Avenue location. The first caller gets that $40 value for free. It's Aggie Express Car Wash in South College Station and the new location on Texas Avenue that has the full service option. Juan at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Read us one thing.
Well, we've got a nice mini rivalry week coming up this weekend with a lot of hated rivals facing off. We've got the Civil War, number 9 Oregon at Oregon State, number 12 Utah at Utah State, the Apple Cup, Washington versus Washington State, and Colorado at Colorado State. That's going to be a pretty big game.
Go Colorado State!
That's going to be a pretty big game to watch, yeah.
Thank you, Juanito. All right, when we come back on TexAgs Live, the Fan Show. Fan Show brought to you by Prize Picks next on TexAgs Live. And we are back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Fan Show. Presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. The easiest, most exciting way to play DFS is you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of players, including the pros and the sharks, you pick more than or less than 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and watch the winnings roll. Go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs with the password of TexAgs to get yourself $50 once you play $5. And you almost had a big weekend, you were saying.
Twice, yeah. So I missed you pick a number of players, you can parlay them. So on the college deal, but Christian McCaffrey was a scratch, it was like a silent scratch. All he had to do was more than 0.5 either rushing or passing touchdowns. That was a gimme.
Gimme. All right, so let's say hi to the people. Matt Browning, hello, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Good to see you, bud.
Buenos dias.
Hunter Sherliff, I already said hello, but hello.
Howdy.
Hunter. And Roy May, hello.
Howdy.
Cheerio. All right, guys. Let's start off with Browning.
Hey!
Because last time you went last.
I always go last. It's all right.
It's because I'm looking this way.
It's all right. It's cool. It's no big deal. I'm happy to go first for once.
I like that hat. The hat is sharp.
Thanks, man.
What's on your mind today?
Well, what's on my mind is same thing everyone else is thinking. Is this the week we finally get over the road worries, right? The road. What has it been, 1,000 days or something like that?
1,060-something days.
Some crazy number
Stupid
like
number.
that. It's
60 days is too much.
I was watching the Crane and Crane show, and they were talking about. I mean, he said that's the likes of like Temple and some. He named
People
some
people that get paid to go on the road to get beat.
Yeah, he's talking about some really bad teams, and we were lumped in there with that, and that's not good. That's not good. So this is a really big game. I know that it's real simple to go, hey, this is a coach's first year. This is, it's a road game against Florida, a blue blood on the road in a tough environment. But this is a big game. It really is a huge game from a standpoint of, like the texter earlier said, if you don't win this game, what games do you win, right? And I agree with you. You're going to progress and get better as the season goes on, and you can still win every game on your schedule. But
if you don't win, this town,
it's going to be. I mean, the amount of irrational people that I've spoken to about Aggie football in the last 2 weeks is mind-boggling, to say, first of all. So if we lose this game,
Thoughts and prayers to the TexAgs servers.
Watch out for the loonies come out. So it's insane to me.
And it's strange, right? Because Elko's not getting that first-year grace.
Yeah.
Right? Because
it's a continuation of losing.
Right. What perception of the talent that's already on the team, right? You got the QB, you got the D-line. I mean, you got talent.
The cupboard wasn't bare.
I know. I'm just saying Elko's not getting any grace. So
he is from rational people. It's the irrational ones.
I think those are just louder than we're used to. And I think there's a company loves or misery loves company. There's a lot more of them clumping together at the moment.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Hunter, what's on your mind?
I'm not a fan of the McNeese State games at all. Like in general, I don't think we ought to play those. Right? I've said this before. It was formerly FCS. I think they bumped up. I mean, there's the FBS now, which we need to just change that name. Okay, since we have our own playoff now. Can we go back to Division I and II, maybe? Anyway,
Preach.
I'm not a fan of those games just because I think you got to at least play some mid-majors instead of those. But I think Aggie Land needed that game, right? That team needed that game just to get right, show, hey, we can pass the ball, we can run the ball, we can make some plays, we can get some turnovers. So there was a lot of good things. But yeah, this is tough. I mean, the Florida game, we talked about that leading up to the season, right? Is an early Notre Dame was we get that what that was. I mean, nobody wants to lose that game, but you could see everybody was pointing to this Florida game. Road game, first conference game, as a game we got to win.
Against a bad Florida team.
But they're not. I mean, I get what you're saying, but Florida has dudes. And I promise you I watch more college football than a lot of people do. And they were getting after Miami. That end of the score didn't look good, but they were getting after Cam Ward. They were getting pressure. But Cam Ward, you're not going to touch him. The Miami quarterback was so slippery, right? And he gets out of the pocket. He's completing big passes. We don't have that dude. I mean, Cam Ward was the difference maker in that game. I'm just saying, Florida has dudes on their D-line. I think they got good dudes on defense. Their running back's good. I know Wilson is questionable. It'd be great if he doesn't play. That guy's good. I mean, they have good. Graham Mertz is good. He's not fantastic.
It's Florida.
He's good.
It's Florida.
Yeah.
They've got guys.
I think Lagway is going to play 80% of the snaps if you press me right now.
Yep.
So, are they beatable? Absolutely. I think A&M still has better talent, better team. But I just get who are we to go in there? Well, they suck.
We can't say that about anybody.
We just talked about it's been 1,030, 61 days or whatever that we haven't run a road game.
So let me clarify my statement earlier when I said compared to what Florida normally is. Let's say that
they're struggling. They're very similar. Very similar.
I
programs.
think Florida, even if they were really good with that schedule, would probably look bad. But they're wounded. They got a coach who doesn't know his future. They've got two quarterbacks, and Lagway, as good as he is a freshman who's making his first SEC start. Well, no, he's not even going to start the game, in my opinion. I think Graham Mertz is going to start. But his first SEC defense. There's all the reasons in the world that A&M needs to go there and shut them down.
Let's do it. I mean, I think Elko's got the right mindset, and he's changing things. And I still believe in Conner. I like the way Moss is running. Amari Daniels I just love that guy as a 1-2 punch. D-line's good. I think our backs we got it. Just got to go do it.
Yeah, no, 100%. You kind of hit on it, Dave. For Florida, it's not a good Florida team. It doesn't mean they're just a team full of nobodies, right? Because Florida's always going to have talent. It's Florida. Florida recruits itself to an extent, right? The swamp, the history, the location. The co-eds, Florida's got it, right? But Florida's schedule is just a monstrosity. It feels like Florida peed in Sankey's Cheerios or something, man, to get that schedule. But for me, two things on my mind. One, this is kind of one I probably say every year, but man, it's kind of that time of year, right? Football's in swing, volleyball's rolling, soccer's about to head up to Connecticut. It seems like soccer's got to kind of turn back around a little bit from some early season hiccups. Baseball started, fall ball, baseball. We got an announcement about basketball schedule for the tournament they're playing. So it's full immersion back in Aggie sports now, right? So I love this time of year because you can just kind of see the train coming down the tracks. And then, for you and me, we've got Premier League too. Yep. So it's just, it's a great time of year. The other thing on my mind is, the reason we play teams like McNeese State is so I can confirm that they do sell plenty of gin and tonic in the Zone Club. That's about it. That was one of those games where after 1 week, if you think people are overreacting, after 2 weeks, that's twice as worse because you still have 2 data points across all of college football to come up with your opinions. And that generally means you're overreacting.
Yep.
And so I'm kind of the mindset of build, improve every week, right? We sat here last week and said, I don't think you're going to glean a whole lot from McNeese, only bad. Only bad can come if something pops up and we're still seeing problems. So we saw what we expected to see last week, which means we didn't get a whole lot out of it. We went and beat the crap out of a McNeese, team that we should have beat the crap out of. I was thrilled with the offensive efficiency. I thought, Conner 1 series into the third quarter and then we're done. You look up at the second corner, Conner's holding the clipboard already. And so I thought the efficiency against anybody to go out and score in your put touchdowns on the board. Every single drive. So, and we've seen really good teams don't do that. So I was really happy with the efficiency. Again, I don't think you pull a whole lot from that game because you just so much out talent a team like McNeese. But again, we've been pointing to this game and we've been pointing to this game, right? And so this is where, and you can take the loss streak and throw it out the window. I don't really care, because this team didn't lose those games, right? This team is currently 1-1, right? And they're about to go on the road. And so this is such a monumental game, not only just for this season, but also kind of for this program under Elko moving forward, right? Yep. This is your first road test. We unfortunately failed the Notre Dame test at home. You're about to go into the swamp. he's changed up how the schedule is from, Jimbo Fisher, they used to leave like 3 weeks prior to the game, right? So we're going to be a little bit more of a normal travel schedule.
Yep.
I want to see how these boys respond on the road in an incredibly hostile environment, because the swamp is. Like, Florida can be bad and the swamp will be packed.
They won't back down.
I'm going to kick you out of that chair.
Sounds good. Well played.
Thank you.
But so this is it, right? This is the test. And to me, I don't care how it looks.
Just get it done.
Get it done. I don't care how it looks.
So I'm so sick of negativity. I'm going to give you a different thing that I didn't tell you I was going to talk about. It just hit me right now.
Right.
Let's just play this out. A&M wins convincingly. Conner throws for 310, 3 touchdowns. And it's everything that we thought, like the good things about A&M that we thought were possible. Let's say in this game, that happens. And I know there will be many that'll be like, it's just Florida. They're terrible. But just for next week, how are we reacting under that scenario? And unfortunately, I'm going to have to do the opposite scenario. But for right now, let's be happy.
Let's do the sunshine pumping first, right?
Do the sunshine pumping. Roy, you start us off.
You go into Florida, you win convincingly on the road. And
Conner throws for 300 and 3 touchdowns.
And all these things happen, right?
Yep.
And we win convincingly, and we look good doing it, right? So offensive line obviously did their job. Receivers did a great job if he's throwing for that many, right?
Yep.
The run game was probably really good to set up that kind of passing. The defense, if you win convincingly, that means the defense keeps their offense, in check to whatever extent. If you go out and win 55-20, you gave up 20 points, but that's a convincing win, right? I'm not saying 55-20, by the way, but like
just for this scenario.
But you're saying winning convincingly, so 10, 14, 17 points, somewhere in there. Then I think you automatically switch to, all right, we're not going to lose a game until Missouri, right? Missouri will be our next big test, because that's what you're looking at, because you have no idea what to get out of Arkansas. What they did against Pine Bluff is ridiculous, even though it was basically a high school. I think Oklahoma State's a tough place to play. I thought I picked Oklahoma State to win that game, so that kind of went, But you feel like you can beat Arkansas. Yep. So again, you go and win convincingly, then that Missouri showdown is big, like big.
Yeah, and under your scenario, if Weigman comes out hot, right, then it's definitely, hey, man, that was a one-off. There's no history of Conner having bad games like that. He's back on track. Offense is clicking. It's huge for the fan base, for that team, right? Because they still got to learn how to win, which they've really been really bad at for 3 years. So.
Well, and you have the data point then, because then you're like, well, we're not the Notre Dame game team. We're the Florida game team. That's who A&M is. Yeah. And so you have that confidence, because not only did you convincingly beat an SEC team, you did it on the road.
On the road.
Yeah, and then to me, we become scary again, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone outside of Burnt Orange, who will go, oh, it was just Florida, they suck, because that's what they do, because they're
There'll be people
morons.
on TexAgs that say that too, though.
Yeah, but either way, for the most part, though, most people still will see you go, hey, that's the swamp. You just went into the swamp. You haven't won a road game in forever. This is Elko's new regime. You just went into the swamp. You just beat a blue blood thoroughly. Your quarterback looks right again. A&M is scary again, and that'll be kind of not only the national perception will look even better. Although who cares?
Right.
But the national perception will look a lot better. But yeah, us as just a fan base that feels fantastic. And then we're all going back to, hey, remember when we lost to Notre Dame and we were so upset? Look at what it is now, right? That would be what would happen. That's how this fan base would roll.
All right. Unfortunately, we've got to do the reverse.
Oh.
Let's say.
Go ahead and start on that end.
It's a fan show. We got to go high and low, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say A&M goes to Gainesville.
To the cliffs.
And they get stomped.
To
Matt,
the cliffs. It's the rational people will start becoming irrational in that case. There's going to be questions about every single thing from not only the coaching staff but the administration to every player on this team, and
people will blame us.
Oh, we'll get blamed for it. It's stuff like it'd be bad if we went and got stomped. Now, if we go and just lose a close one. Or lose?
No, this fan base will take that even worse.
It'll be bad, but you're saying go get stomped. There is a difference. There's a different perception of that. Yeah, if you go and get just housed,
annihilated.
That would be worst case scenario.
It'd be worse, even a close loss though, because there is a perception, right? And it's fitting that Florida's not a good team. They're struggling. Any SEC team that bugs me, but Yeah, it'll be meltdown. There will be questions.
Still the same.
Is
Everything's
Elko
the same.
just another guy in
Nothing's
this league?
changed.
Is he
Yep.
a Stoops?
Yep.
You know,
We couldn't hire. We just yeah.
that'll be bad.
No, it'll go into, you know what? It doesn't matter who A&M hires. A&M is who they are. And that'll be the national perspective.
Yep, they're a 7-5, 8-4 perennial.
8-4 program, perennial. That's just who they are, and that's who they're always going to be. That'll be the national perspective. From a more local perspective, I wouldn't want to be a moderator on the boards. But you know, from my perspective, if that were to happen, I think what you'll see is a lot of apathy because, again, Elko hasn't gotten any grace. There's been no bump. His bump lasted about 47 minutes in the summer, you know?
Plus, like you said, nationally, they're right. They just love to. I know we were ranked, 20th coming in. We lose to Notre Dame, fall out of the AP. But, you know, LSU stays in the top, 15. Notre Dame only drops 7 spots.
Well, then Notre Dame goes and weighs a turd, so that again
Goes back to us.
it always comes back to us, right?
Yep. Hey,
and so
can I make a comment about the Notre Dame game? I've seen too many people not really realize what happened in that game. I hear people talk about, well, you guys lost by 10 to Notre Dame. Okay, that's what the final score was. That was not a 10-point loss.
That's a one-score
people
game.
that talk box scores shouldn't talk football.
Right, like that. Yes, at the end of the day, they lost by 10 points, but we all saw how it ended.
Yeah.
Right, like that game was tied with 2 minutes left, and yes, A&M couldn't make the plays.
Right, but then you're down by 7. You could have. I mean, yeah, if you're going to take that out, you could have punted, and they wouldn't have scored the last field goal of 10. Yeah. Right. Obviously, you're not going to do that because you're trying to
win the game.
That was a 4th down non-conversion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quickly though. It made for the rest of the wild weekend, right?
Well,
it made people, even though there was good things going on at Kyle Field, it still made people grumpy because the Sips won convincingly in the big house, and then Notre Dame steps on its toe, and there were some grumpy.
Well, guys, I brought this up too many times over the last 10 days, but I'm going to bring it up again. You get good Conner Weigman in that Notre Dame game, you win.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
You get good Conner Weigman this weekend, you win. A lot of these games, you just get good. Not great.
I don't even think you need good. If you just took average Conner Weigman.
Okay, same thing to me. Like this just not historically bad.
Not the worst in the country.
Not the team
18 for 30 for 250. I mean, you are in.
Yeah.
I mean, we turned the ball over 3 times on our side of the field, and our defense had to deal with that. Our defense, and by the way, our defense. I know we've given up like 300 yards in these 2 games on the ground, which is not ideal, but it's real. I mean, that looks like something that's a fairly simple fix to me because we play really good run defense. We're stop, and then they'll break one.
By the way, did you guys hear Jim Turner earlier?
Oh, you asked? Yeah.
You missed that. If you guys haven't, just go back and watch it.
Yes.
On the rewind? We'll be on the rewind?
I don't know if the entire part
check
of
out
it.
TexAgs Rewind.
Presented by Specs in the raw
Jump at the gun a little bit there. The Jim Turner stuff was phenomenal.
What I'm saying, like, it made me realize, oh, bro, I got a lot of learning to do. Stephen McGee, who played at a high level, Ryan Swope, they're like, oh, yeah, you learn every time you hear from Jim Turner. So
It's like drinking from a fire hose. Listen to that guy.
It was fantastic. We'll hit a break here. We'll come back more with the Fan Show brought to you by Prize Picks. FBS Appliance and their team of experts are here to help you find the appliances that make your house a home. They have all the top brands you can imagine, and they really want to make this a seamless transition for you. So if you're moving into a new home or you just need new appliances, they're going to find the right one for you. They're going to help you get it in the spot, and then their expert installers are just second to none. They don't just they offer expert installation that's carried out by skilled technicians who are factory trained. They understand the intricacies of installation. They're going to be the ones to get it done for you with the right appliances that you need for your house. Visit any other 8 showrooms across Texas or find them online at factorybuilderstores.com. That is factorybuilderstores.com. All right, we are back on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the fan show presented by Prize Picks. Quickly for Varsity Grill House, if you're looking for a great place to go, just enjoy an awesome atmosphere, great food, and you kind of feel like you're at a fine dining and also sports bar all at the same time, you go to Varsity Grill House. They're on Highway 6 in College Station, right next to the Academy. They've got a great atmosphere. They got mouth-watering dishes, too. They've got burgers. They've got savory 4-farm steaks. A dozen signature cocktails at the bar. They've got something for everybody. You need to check it out. The food is delicious. The atmosphere is fantastic. Take your wife there. Take your kids there. It does not matter. Varsity Grill House, your home for good times and great food. Hopefully we'll see you there. All right, Hunter, I'm going to start off with you. All right. Defense. I know that I think Matt spoke about it earlier. Are you concerned about the stopping the run?
I guess somewhat, right? Because until you show me that you're going to, be more consistent. Hey, bus count. Even Jimbo said, and Saban has been emphasizing it on game day. Those explosive plays are just as important as turnovers in winning and losing, right? And they were certainly the difference in the Notre Dame game. McNeese busted one. If you watch Florida, their big runs have come from their running back getting outside and taking it for 40 yards. So. Yeah, it's concerning. Until you show me you can stop it and get some containment out there, yeah.
Our pass defense, I mean, I don't know the numbers, but it has to have been pretty good. I don't feel like we've given up a lot of plays in the passing game yet. Gave up that one pass to McNeese. That's their one touchdown, kind of that back, corner end zone throw. But, our pass defense has looked really good. Now, again, I don't know if we've played a juggernaut passing team yet, so I don't know how much we've seen there. But, and if you go and watch, our run defense looks really good for 3 plays in a row, and then they break one. And then you do it again. You're like, okay, this looks really good. They're stopping the run. They're stuffing the run. They're hitting them in the backfield. Yep. And then they break one. Or the quarterback gets outside and he takes off running or something. So there's some things, but to me that seems like that's the stuff that can be fixed. That's the stuff that can be cleaned up. You're doing it, if you can do it, 75% of the time.
I'm pretty confident when I see 11, 4, 5, and 17 out there.
Yeah.
Right? They're doing a great job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and this kind of goes back to this is the game, right? And what concerns me the most, and it's not that we give up the big plays, right? Because we beat that drum now, beat that horse to death. My concern is more along the lines of, because we saw it, man, with Johnny Manziel. Everything's closed up. That doesn't mean there's not a play to be made. And my concern is, and I don't care what you look like in high school, right? But the talent is obviously there with DJ Lagway. My concern in this game is when we have everything bottled up, that's when the explosive plays can really happen with a quarterback that can scoot, right? And so my real concern with this game is, my prayer is that Billy Napier continues to be a moron and leaves Graham Mertz in for at least 2 quarters. Because I don't think Graham Mertz isn't that good, quite frankly. Like that offense doesn't work with Graham Mertz, right? But when DJ Lagway gets in there, my concern is the big plays from the quarterback. The scrambling, we have everything covered, everything, all assignments locked down, but all of a sudden there's this, unless you've got a great spy on him, and we've seen where those explosive plays have occurred is when we've seen some poor angles and some poor, in the moment decisions, which leads to bad angles, right? And something like that against somebody who's as mobile as DJ Lagway turns into really, really big plays. It's not just he scrambles for 8 or 10 out of bounds. It's not, he gets out in the open field and all of a sudden now you have blockers. They were wide receivers, but if they're smart, they're blockers. So my biggest concern going into this game with the defense is the big plays that we haven't been able to shut down, combined with what is supposed to be an incredibly mobile quarterback.
So I'm a little different. I actually think the opposite, to be honest with you. I think that the idea of a true freshman quarterback, regardless of who he is, against a Mike Elko defense, is it plays in our favor all day. Elko is known for confusing the quarterbacks, even older guys. So a true freshman coming there, yes, he's very mobile.
He didn't confuse Riley Leonard, though.
Well, Riley Leonard is He was confused. He did not play super well.
Think about Johnny in that first game. I guarantee you Johnny didn't know 30% of the offensive playbook. You know what? But when you have an athlete, you just give him the football and he plays. So you can confuse him all he wants to. He'll just take off. Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, he's Like, he'll probably learn his lesson quickly not to force a pass, or he might be inaccurate, but he will always fall back on his athletic ability. And that's where they're dangerous, because you don't know what he's going to do.
Got a big arm, too.
Yeah, he's got a big arm, but it's still, I like our odds. To me, if I'm looking at it solely on paper, you go, hey, true freshman quarterback against a Mike Elko defense. I mean, granted, yes, Johnny was great, but Johnny was, first of all, redshirt freshman, which is a big difference. He'd been
Generational player.
Generational player. DJ Lagway, we don't know that about him yet. He looks great. He looks.
By all accounts, he could very well be a generational player.
He could be. He very well could be, yeah.
And I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I'm saying that's just a concern of mine if it turns out he is the dude that we think he is.
Like, what I'm saying is I'd almost rather see DJ Lagway than Mertz. Mertz threw for 3,000 yards last year. He's a good quarterback.
Look, DJ Lagway scares me the most on their team. He's also the one that I think they're going to have a quick plug if you get to him early, right? Because they don't want to mess with his confidence.
It goes both ways. I mean, he could go out there and throw 2 picks and 2 straight drives, and then he's not going to pull the trigger. All he's going to do is look to run. Well, then he becomes one-dimensional. I'm saying if he can somehow be two-dimensional, if he can get some passes in, get some confidence, and then start taking off, then you have a problem.
If you can get to him early, though,
right.
I think not only does it shut him down, it shuts down the Florida optimism from the fans and his teammates, right? But if he gets going, that place is going to change.
Yeah, we've got to get home this week.
We have
got to get home.
Remember when Milroe was here, of course, we lost that game. But we kept sacking him, and he's fast, he's mobile, and he's got a huge arm. So there's precedence for beating a guy like that. But yeah, I still like if you had me, I would say I'd rather see Lagway out there. I think yeah, he is dynamic and has the ability to do some things, but at the same time, I mean, true freshmen are supposed to look like true freshmen sometimes. And this will be the best defense. I don't care what you say about Miami. Our defense is better than Miami's defense.
Well, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think, regardless of who plays, Mertz, Lagway, whatever, if A&M plays the football that I think they're capable of, it's still a thing because I haven't seen it. The vision I have of what Conner looks like at a high level, what Nick Scorton looks like at a high level, what Will Lee, then it does not matter. Lagway, Mertz, A&M wins.
Yes.
But they just have not shown me that level yet.
Well, I think an overwhelming majority of the rational side of the fan base is still in a bit of wait and see mode, because again, we have 2 data points. One of them was Notre Dame, who the follow-up week, we have no idea what Notre Dame is.
Yeah, they're confused to see
and
more.
The other data point is McNeese State. So I think, again, we haven't seen it. There's some things that maybe we would have liked to have seen so far in 2 games that we haven't. I think you kind of touched on it. For me, one of the biggest keys to this game for me is getting pressure on the quarterback, containing a pocket and pressuring the quarterback. And I don't care which one it is. I don't care if it's a Mertz or Lagway. Contain the pocket and put him in the dirt a couple times.
And Howe and Kennedy are close. They're causing havoc. They're close to really making some game-changing sacks, I think. Those guys are playing well.
I need them to get there, get across the finish line.
All right, let's hit a break here. Time to talk a little Rollo Insurance. The difference is real. They're the official insurance provider of this program, and that's why we call the studio the Rollo Insurance Studio. Oh, you too?
Yeah,
look at you.
I'm a client.
You're a client, just like George Zimmer, and he's the president. But Jackson and Jason Rollo, they're the best. You'll see them all around town. They love Aggie sports. Their headquarters is right here in College Station on Highway 6. And the reason that matters to me is that, I can just call him up. I can talk to Jason anytime I want, right? And he's going to make sure that I'm in the right situation for my family. They have all the top insurances. But again, if you're not in College Station, all good. If you're not in Bryan, all good. Because they got offices all over the place. Houston, Dallas, Tyler, Austin, San Antonio, the Panhandle, everything outside of Texas. And they've got homeowners insurance, car owner insurance. They got farmer insurance, rancher, hobby farmers, you name it. And their priorities are God, family, and country. 888-44-ROLLO. Go to RolloInsurance.com. That's 888-44-ROLLO or RolloInsurance.com. Savage Jam in the background. It is TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Fan show presented by Prize Picks. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Our good friend Matthew Dawson, who is the man in charge when it comes to Prize Picks and TexAgs. Buddy, I didn't have my best week last week, but I came close. I came very, very close.
You did come pretty close on the play that you sent me. Overall, the standings from last week, I was a little bit disappointed. Had only 2 people go 500 of the 4 of you of the 12 picks. It would be Hunter and David.
I went 500?
You went 500. You went 6 and 6.
I'm leaving you in the dust, Brownie.
Dude, I'm really bad at this.
Vamos!
So then Roy and Matt, they were both 5 and 7 overall.
Yeah, but my Colorado picks were right.
Your Colorado picks.
Out of sheer hatred, nothing to do with statistics. I just didn't like Colorado, and I got it right.
I
Yes,
don't like
that was
what they're
right.
doing.
Although y'all had the same exact pick for 6 of them, so that's like half of them. And y'all went 2 and 4 in those picks. So
do the opposite of whatever we picked.
Yeah, so whatever we do, just do the complete opposite. That's right.
absolutely. So also want to make sure anyone that's listening, Prize Picks Daily Fantasy Sports, it is a fantastic platform, easy to use. Your money is safe and secure, and it's very fast transfers as well. You basically pick your players in these player squares, you put them in a lineup, and you just win big. All right. Right now they're offering, of course, with code TexAgs, you just pay deposit money, play $5, win $50. All right.
PrizePicks.com/TexAgs.
/TexAgs. And you know what? Also, for the next about 30 minutes, they got a Carson Beck passing yards discount. You can take his more than for 212.5 yards against Kentucky, whereas right now, for everywhere else, it's 249.5. So make sure you're taking that right now, as well as the Caleb Williams free square. Just every week in September, they have Caleb Williams to have more than a half a passing yard. Just take it every week. Just take it every week.
Let's go through these.
All right, so I got 12 of them today for you guys. The first one we're going to talk about, Conner Weigman to have more than or less than 200.5 passing yards.
Okay, so every week I've been wrong. I've been terrible at this, so I'm going against my instincts here. I'm going to say less.
I'm going less than as well. It's supposed to be rainy. I haven't seen them throw for that. I don't know about the wide receivers yet, so I'm going less than.
I really wanted to say more, though.
I'm taking more just based on what Miami did to him, even though that goes against what I just said.
Browning's pulling the Costanza.
Yeah.
Do the opposite. Yeah, I'm taking more.
All right.
And I'm putting my money where my mouth is because I'm taking more.
More than.
Ooh, so you putting that down on the app
So,
as well?
actually, it's the combination. I got the pass plus rushing yards more or less than. So I took that Conner play at more.
Ooh, well, let's talk about rushing yards a little bit. The next one is Conner Weigman to have more than or less than 18.5 rushing yards.
Now, I'm not going to this one, it feels pretty much of a lock for me.
Me too.
So I'm not going to go against my instincts. I'm going to say more fairly easily. I think he's going to run. I think he's going to have to run a lot in this game, so I'm going to go with more.
More than.
More than. He seems comfortable running right now. I actually bumped this up on the app to the 24.5 yards.
Yeah, more, and I've got the combo of passing and rushing yards at 223.5, and it's locked in. More than.
I like that. I definitely took Conner Weigman to have more than 18.5 rushing yards. I put him in multiple lineups.
That could be one run.
It could be one run.
Could be.
Also, too, just a guy historically good at like an underrated skill, not taking sacks. You know, in bad situations.
Yep. Staying alive.
And it's rainy, which could cause him to slip a little bit. Could be a little bit nerve-wracking there, but I like that number 18.5 so much. So, Conner Weigman to have more than or less than an interception.
I'm going to say more. I think
or a half an interception.
I think, on the road. I'm going against my. I don't think I was going to say more than one. He'll throw one pick.
Less than. I'm going to go back to the Conner that we know.
I agree. So the number's 0.5, so you're picking 0 or 1, so I'm going less than.
Yeah, people overrate rain, how it affects these athletes at this level. They really do. Unless it's just a driving monsoon, I'm going less. Because I think he has to be less for us to win this game.
Yeah, I think could be a game script thing as well. It'll be interesting to see. Injured secondary for sure. The next one we're going to talk about, Le'Veon Moss to have more than or less than 70.5 rushing yards.
More than.
I'm going to say I'm going to say less.
I think Notre Dame's front is better than Florida's front. And he was right at 70 yards, I want to say, in that Notre Dame game, so I'm more than this week.
More than, baby.
He's going to be our workhorse.
Yeah. I was going to say less, but I've got to go more. My only concern with that is just the rotation of backs, but I'll go more.
So Matt, you're the only one with less than
Yes.
is it. You got any
No.
analysis for that?
Well,
Or?
because I'm usually super optimistic, and so I'm trying to be pessimistic this time to see if I can get back into the dadgum running here.
Hey,
I'm trying to-
Brownie's invested because he's about to hop on a plane and go to the game. So
Look, I ditched the first week that we did it, right? Because everyone took, multiple different kinds
Well,
of picks.
Browning was analyzing the actual piece of paper. So
Yeah, and Matt, you did go 0-6 in that
pretty.
week.
I
So
could make an
I
airplane
started
or a
y'all.
bridge.
I gave y'all a clean slate last week. You're only down.
I'm
You're 5
going
and 7.
against my instincts here. So yes, so that's why. That's why I chose that.
All right, well, let's stick on Le'Veon Moss right now. Le'Veon Moss to have more than or less than 9.5 receiving yards.
More than.
I'm gonna say less than.
I'm going less. I don't think he's our big target in the receiving game.
I'm gonna go more because that's just one swing pass.
One
is all that
pass,
is.
yeah, he's going to go more.
I'll go more, even though I'm the same way. He's not the passing option, but
I will say his more than or less than rushing plus receiving is at 85.5, and if you add 70.5 and 9.5, it's only 80 right there. So kind of a discrepancy right there. I feel like one of those numbers is wrong. I just don't know.
don't know which.
I don't know which one it
Yeah.
is. I lean towards the receiving yards is the one that's incorrect, but I'm not sure. I like the analysis though, nonetheless as well. Le'Veon Moss, let's stick with him to have more than or less than a half
This
of a
might be-
rushing and receiving touchdown.
This might be the easiest one on here, so I'm going to go with my instincts on this one. But he has to have more. And Le'Veon's going to get in the end zone at least one time. That's all it's asking. Yeah,
All it's
Le'Veon
asking.
will get
More
in.
than.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than. If they're inside the 5, he's going to get one.
more.
Alrighty,
Now Amari
clean
Daniels will
sweep.
get all the red zone carries.
Dangerous clean sweep from the
EJ
table. over there.
Smith will take it in, right?
Yeah, those don't work very well for us.
Now let's talk about the other running back on Florida, Montrell Johnson, to have more than or less than a half of a rushing and receiving
More.
touchdown.
More.
Yeah, more.
More.
Another clean
Yeah,
sweep.
we're not different a lot here.
Well, I mean,
No, Browning is. He's quite different.
Trying, but that was yeah. I just feel like they're going to score if they score a touchdown, it'll probably be in the running.
Be on the ground. Yeah.
let's talk about some receivers now. Ja'Day Walker to have more than or less than 38.5 receiving yards.
Less.
Less than.
Less than. I think they have the wrong receivers on here, so I'm going less.
More.
All right. Any analysis for us, Hunter, there?
I mean,
sorry,
we don't,
Roy, I mean-
we don't know about his hand, so like that just gives me pause. And also, we don't know about this offense.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm intentionally trying to be pessimistic.
Considering
That's
that I
why-
have Conner
that's why I
Weigman
know.
going over on the passing yards, and considering that I still think that people are going to key in on Noah Thomas, I think Ja'Day Walker is the next option.
A nice little positive correlation. I would say that it is a good thing to do if you can pair your receivers and quarterbacks in this game. I think it'll benefit you well.
And he's a great 50-50 guy.
If Ja'Day Walker scores another touchdown, does he do that airwalk deal again?
Please.
Okay. Moving on.
Noah Thomas to have more than or less than 40.5 receiving yards.
Pessimism is still strong. Less.
Gosh, I'm going with Browning again. That means I'm going to lose. Less than.
Right? We're all like, show me or what? What's the basis for that? That's what I'm saying. If they have number 6 on here, I think we're having different answers. I'm going to go less than on Noah Thomas.
I'm going less. I just think they key in on Noah Thomas because I don't think because we haven't shown that we have a number one. They just have to guess that Noah's our number one.
Let me go ahead and maybe change people's minds. We do not know about the Florida secondary because potentially 3 starters are out.
Right.
Right? And
Well, which means you have one good guy, and they're going to stick the one good guy on our one good guy. And Noah Thomas is the one. Like, if I were to look at our wide receiving core, he would be the number one. Right?
yeah, but maybe you look at Terry Buss, you're like, well, I got to put him on him, or potentially, or Cyrus Allen has been catching. Like they're
What's the momentum? Like, hey, who's hot right
Allen's
now
on.
in the game?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And those DBs were also, they got hurt in the middle
Yeah,
of
it's
the
so
Miami
tough
game.
when it's right in these 30s and 40s, though, because that can be one catch, you know?
we
Can
got
be.
to
Yeah.
start speeding through.
Elijah Badger, wide receiver from Florida, have more than or less than 43.5 receiving yards.
More.
Less than.
Less. I don't know this cat though.
Less. Same.
Yeah, I don't know anything about him. I'm just, again, pessimism.
Transfer from Arizona State at 700 yards last year. Randy Bond, the kicker for Texas A&M, to have more than or less than 6.5 kicking points. So
mean,
field goal counts as 3.
This is going to be a game where I feel like there's going to be a lot of field goals. So I'm going to go with more.
More than.
And this includes extra points?
This includes extra
All right,
points.
I'm more than.
Yeah, more than. He's in my lineup. More
Clean
than.
sweep. In the
A&M
rain?
scores 4 touchdowns, hopefully 4 extra points and a field goal. You're good.
So in the rain. That's it. That is a factor, though.
We don't know
I'm
if it's going to
saying.
rain yet. I've been watching
all
the
right.
forecast.
Rain doesn't matter when you're kicking from 28 out.
That's true. That's true. Trey Smack, the kicker for Florida. This is the last one. to
Smack.
have more than or less than 5.5 kicking
More.
points.
Lay them down, smack them, jack them.
I think more.
I'll go less.
Less.
I think they're going to kick 2 field goals total, and that's going to be their total points scored.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
That'd be nice.
That'd be really nice.
They went the optimism. It's
Be happy
not
to be
right
right.
It's back.
It just creeps in on me, guys. I'm sorry.
Mr. Dawson, you have any final thoughts?
That's all we got. Look, only 4 of the 12 instead of half of them. Y'all all were on the same one. So maybe the curse. It seems like you're kind of heading the right direction. Maybe
How
diversifying
are you
the
doing?
portfolio a little bit.
I feel a very judgmental vibe from you.
I'm doing awesome.
Like you're.
Yeah, I'm.
Is that why you have
I'm
Ferrari
raking
in the
right
front?
now. Well, that's a rental actually.
Okay.
You got a Ferrari out front and you can't get a haircut? Goodness.
I think that's how we'll know if he starts doing poorly. Like, he'll send in somebody else to do this.
Luke, come in. How's Luke doing in this game?
I think he's doing all right. He's doing all right.
Well, I did all right last week. I did all right.
You have been doing all right, David.
Hey,
You've been
Quinn,
making
you
good
were
picks.
screwed me. It was so close.
I know, and if you had gotten that number, it was 246 and a half at 1 point.
I think it was 243. Then
And you got
Isaiah
it at
Bond
243 and a half.
dropped
Oh, it was brutal.
Yeah, thank you very much. Guys, let's talk a little bit about the Association of Former Students. If your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, you need to check out the Association of Former Students because they bring Aggies of all ages together for all their marquee events like Aggie Ring Day, All Aggie Hullabaloo, and Gathering. They all welcome tens of thousands of guests, and there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities to get your brand in front of those attendees. These events offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand, and they include title sponsorship, naming, on-site presence, activation, recognition, and social media posts, and much, much more. There's also advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie Magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with Aggies, choose a partner with the organization that's been supporting the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more information on options available, please email the association at sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. It's the Association of Former Students. It is time to end the day with Double Days. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We'll hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's, serving Aggieland since 1984. They have your favorite pizza. They have your favorite world-famous pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Juan Marco Palomo's there. Give us a question. I want you to give me your perspective of something you want to know. Actually, not your perspective. Give me something you want to know from this group.
Well, what I want to know is who needs to be the best player for A&M this weekend and who can't be the best player for Florida.
That guy comes up with good questions.
It's a great question.
That guy's good.
Whoever came up with that
I think the
question-
answer is obvious. But
So, who gets to go first?
I think it's kind of obvious.
Who gets to go first?
You get to pick.
Yes, I'll take it.
No, I said he gets to pick. And now you go last.
You know what? Yeah, Roy, I want to see you go first.
You know what? I'm going to let y'all take the quarterbacks because that's the lowest hanging fruit.
Let's
on
make
the
a
plate.
rule that we all have to choose different
Because
people.
you know what? Obviously, I think all of us would say Conner needs to be the best and Lagway needs to be the worst, assuming that Lagway plays.
Whoever
right?
their quarterback is.
So, taking that out of the equation, just picking one person, that's tough. I think Amari Daniels needs to be the best because he is a bit of a bruiser, but he's also kind of that, he's a little bit of the lightning, as opposed to Le'Veon Moss being a little bit more of the thunder.
Yep.
So, given that extra option, so I'm going to just kind of out of thin air, I'm going to say Amari Daniels as kind of the X factor on offense. And then for Florida, I need all of them to suck. Their running back, quite frankly.
Montreal Johnson.
Yeah, I think it's got to be their running back.
I agree with you.
All right, I'm gonna keep passing the quarterback down the end of the table down here. So I'm going Le'Veon Moss because I think if he gets on his game, then that's going to just we're going to be a running team this year, and that's going to help out our passing game. So I'm going Le'Veon and Lagway needs to suck. So.
All right, and then I'm going to pass it on to David. I'm going to pass the quarterback to David, and I'm going to say Tyrion York. Tyrion York needs to be the best player.
There you go.
Because he's the quarterback on defense. The defense, especially, I feel like the D-line's played really well. I think some of those big runs have been, missed tackle by Tyrion York. He missed a big one against Notre Dame. The linebackers need to come together and start playing a little bit better, I think, against the run. So I think Tyrion York has got to be our best player. And then what's that receiver, the little receiver they have that's so fast and
Wilson, he's on the
he's
maybe
questionable
list.
Is he on the questionable list?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was going to be him if he plays. Then how about that? If
he still might play.
He still might play.
You could say Elijah Badger, the one that Matthew Dawson asked about a moment ago. He's their number 2 receiver. His numbers on the year: 6 receptions, 166 yards. Makes me feel like I should have taken the more than.
Yeah, I will say though the person who needs to be the worst player for them has to be whoever their quarterback is, whether it's Mertz or Lagway.
But in Lagway, what if he's their best player, but it's too late? Just survive in advance, guys. Yeah. Just get a victory.
Just win. I don't care if it's by a point or what.
What if Noah Thomas is the best player? He has that breakout game. All right? Because then if he has that game, that means Connor's going to have that game, right?
Well, and that means the whole thing that's the convincing win we talked about.
Right. Well, hopefully. Graham Mertz, I hope you had the worst game ever.
Yeah.
And then Lagway, I hope you have a great career.
I hope you have a nice rest of your day.
Hey,
I want you to have good coffee.
I hope Lagway has a really good career once he transfers back here.
Is that what you think?
So yeah, he'll be.
So I talked to an insider who told me, he goes, what if Lagway's auditioning for his next SEC team, and maybe he plays against Florida next year?
Remember, he almost signed with us at the last second, and so yeah, I really think, I'm telling you right now, mark it down, DJ Lagway will be a future Texas A&M.
Hey, no
Aggie.
pressure, Browning. Real quick, I was at Columbia, Missouri in our last road win, so you better bring it home.
I was there as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bring it.
Bring it. It's been brought in.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
Tomorrow on the program, I believe SEC Mike will join us. I believe Billy Lucci will join us. I believe Seth McKinney will join us. I believe Steve McKinney will join us. I believe Olin Buchanan will join us, and I'll be here as well, and I'm doing a lot of pointing. We'll see you mañana.